Hey guys, hope you are well. So, welcome to the Anime Fictions 2.0. This is the story about what if neglected Naruto son of Toka Senju. Hope you will love this what if scenario. If you did, do subscribe for more awesome what if. Share with your friends and enjoy them. Check out the other videos I have created. Comment down your opinion. So, without wasting any time, let's jump into the first part. A loud roar echoed through the village as a huge fox with 9 swishing tails. Its fur a dark bloodish red in its eyes, its powerful blood-red pupils with black slits that can stare deep into your soul glared down upon the mortals that were scampering and running. Its claws as sharp as any blade slashed and cut through buildings, crushing any and all in its way. "It's the Kyuubi!" quickly warned the Hokage. One of the ninjas screamed whilst running to the Hokage tower. The rest of the village had taken notice of the raging Biju approaching them as shinobi were readying themselves for the onslaught. A small part of their forces were caring for the civilians and sending them to the shelters. Minato was nowhere to be found as the forces were gathering only for the shinobi no Kami Hiruzen Saratobi to appear. "Sandaime-sama, the gates have been destroyed and the Kyuubi has entered the village perimeter. What are your orders?" a random asked. "Everyone under Jonin must pull back to the shelters. We need to make sure that the civilians stay safe," Hiruzen ordered. "The Inanbu shall attack the beast and stall it, which will give us time so we can seal it again." "Hi," they shouted. "Now go," stated Hiruzen as the ninja scattered. "Door! Go find Minato, the rest of you follow me." They charged as the other shinobi jumped up to the rooftops and skidded towards the Nine Tails. Almost half of the village fell to the rampaging beast. Corpses of villagers and ninjas littered the streets as they passed them. Thousands of were fired at the fox, which was starting to annoy him. "Arg! You filthy humans!" Kyuubi roared as it slashed its claws towards the ground, crushing many shinobi under his mighty paws. "Fire style! Great firestorm!" Fugaki shouted as he and his clansmen all launched blazes of fire at the same time, causing the flames to form a tsunami of raging fire as it roared itself to the fox. Pathetic Hashirama laughed, and with a swish of a tail the fire disappeared. He then unleashed his massive chakra, sending the that attacked him flying a few feet. He was about to form a Bijidama when suddenly the Uzumaki sealing chains rose from the ground and began to bind him. He was pushed to the ground as he struggled greatly to break free. "What? These chains? Could it be? Kushina!" the fox roared in anger. "Not really a little kid," Kara Uzumaki teased, making the fox look down upon her. "You!" Kyuubi roared. "I'm surprised you remember me, Kitling. It's me, Kara Uzumaki. Now be a good foxy and sit there like a good boy so can we seal you up again." "How dare you treat me, the mighty Kyuubi, like a sniveling little child," he snarled, letting out a roar. "And you can forget about sealing me. No seal can hold me. Kara Uzumaki!" Saratobi summoned Enma as the Monkey King turned into the adamantine staff as he had it enlarged and struck the beast in the head. "Quickly, I stunned it for a short minute. Use your strongest on it." The shinobi nodded as they began to go through hand signs as they unleashed fire style, water style, earth style, even lightning style at the fox, causing a little damage. Hiruzen was about to use his when a flash of yellow appeared next to him. It was none other than Minato Namikaze, the Yondaime Hokage. "Minato, where have you been? Don't you know that we are being attacked by the Kyuubi?" Hiruzen demanded. "Your sister-in-law can barely hold on with their chakra chains." The Yondaime chuckled. "I was with my wife, she was having our children. I'm finally a father," he said before getting serious. "Until that masked man came in and ripped the fox out of my wife." Kara interrupted him. "Minato, as much as I want to hear the rest of your story, we have more important matters at the moment," she screamed as her chakra chains suddenly failed as one of the fox's massive paws got free and swung at her, as she was immediately crushed by him. Minato gasped as Hiruzen quickly reminded him that the Kyuubi is almost close to the center of the village, and that the only hope that we have now is to seal it. The Yondaime knew that there was only one seal powerful enough to hold the Nine Tails, the Reaper Death Seal. "You're right, Hiruzen-sama, and I will be using the Reaper Death Seal to seal the Nine Tails into my children, but I'll separate the fox to ensure it can't break out," Minato said with a pained look on his face. "I can't ask anyone else to sacrifice their child if I can't do the deed myself." "Minato, let me do the sealing," Hiruzen replied, shocking Minato. "I have lived a long life and you're still young. The village needs you now," he said with a smile. "The only thing I ask you is to keep your children safe and treat them all equally." Kanehigakure Hospital. Minato flashed back to his wife, who was with their children. With a heavy heart he told her that he was going to seal the Nine Tails into their children to save the village. As always, Kushina forbade it as she didn't want her children to suffer the fate of being a. Kushina-chan, I don't want to do this, but I have no choice. The village will fall if I don't seal the fox away. Minato said sadly but firmly. Please, Kushina, it's for the best, surely you understand. Minato used me to seal the 9 tails. You know the hardships face. I wouldn't wish that upon my children. Kushina cried. Kushina, they need you in order to control the fox. Besides, you'll be able to teach them things I can't, things only a mother would know. But they need their father. She sobbed. And the village needs their Hokage right now. Please, Kushina, remember our family is shinobi, the will of the village comes first. Kushina was about to retort, but sadly she herself couldn't help but agree. Konoha was her home, and like any ninja she must put aside personal feelings for the safety of the village. She let out a little cry as she held the children to her husband. Minato could only look down upon the beautiful children that they made. Menma, the eldest, had their father's spiky hair but Kushina's eyes. Naruto was a perfect clone of Kushina with red hair but with blue eyes. The yandame smiled sadly and hugged them close. Forgive me, my children, that I must make you become, but I promise you that your mom will always protect you. I will make sure that you have the happiest childhood you could ever want with her. Minato cried as he flashed back to the battlefield. Battlefield, village gates. Hiruzen was going through the hand signs for the earth release, mud swamp, as the Kyuubi suddenly became stuck in the muddy depths, restricting all of his movements. It looked to be trapped, but even he shouldn't underestimate the 9 tails. It would soon be a matter of time before it got free again. The sounds of cracks in the earth only added to his fear. He soon gasped as the 9 tails rose his head to the sky and opened his mouth as it was gathering energy for a Baijidama. Damn it, if that thing finishes its attack the village is done for, Hiruzen said grimly. Suddenly a large poof of smoke appeared above the fox as Gambunta the toad boss landed on the fox, preventing it from launching its attack. I don't think so, Gambunta said. Damn you! Kyuubi roared. Now was the moment for Minato to begin the sealing, as he was about to begin the hand signs when he was stopped by the third. Minato, I said I would do the sealing. Remember, I am an old man, and it's time for you to lead the young generation. Now hand me the children, and I will seal the 9 tails into them. But Minato stopped him as he refused to let his predecessor sacrifice himself if he couldn't do it himself. Minato sighed as he performed the hand signs at a fast rate. Finishing the last hand sign, he shouted, Fuinjutsu, Shiki Fujin. Suddenly the air got cold as the Shinigami appeared in all of her ethereal glory. Her appearance was ghost-like, her face hidden by a demon mask. She was dressed in whitish-gray robes with a necklace in her left hand and a katana in her right hand. In front of her, bound in ghostly whips, was Minato's soul. Who dares summon me? The goddess demanded. Forgive me, Shinigami-sama, Minato stated as he spoke to the goddess. I wish to offer my soul as payment to seal the Kyuubi's chakra into Menma, and the soul of the Kyuubi into my youngest son Naruto. The Shinigami smirked. Very well, mortal, I will seal the beast within your children. The goddess thrusted her hand into Minato's back as it reached through the man's frail body, and towards the 9 tails. Kurama gasped in fear as the ghostly hand made contact. And oh! No! I will not be sealed again, no! The fox screamed as he was separated and pulled into Menma and Naruto. The 8 trigram seal appeared on the babies' bellies as the sealing was complete. However, the Shinigami noticed something strange about Naruto as she saw future events, and it brought a smile, a dark, evil smile upon her face. You are the one, Naruto. I can tell you are a special boy, and you can be the one that will save and change her for the better, she smiled, gazing down upon the sleeping red-haired baby as she raised her arm up to the moon as an orb flew into her open palm. She then placed the orb within Naruto as Naruto's chakra color went from blue to white. Good luck, little one, I have sealed Kagaya's power within you. I know you'll use it wisely and change the world. The goddess then turned towards Yandame as she grinned a bit, which frightened him. I won't be taking your soul, mortal. What? Minato said shockingly. He couldn't believe that he was being spared. But he felt there was some kind of catch. I'll get your soul one day, and I am a very patient woman, she laughed darkly, making Minato shiver. But don't make me regret sparing your life. This is a one-time deal, but don't take my decision as an act of mercy. She snarled as she vanished. Minato sighed a sigh of relief as he picked up his children and flashed back to his wife. The village was saved thanks to the noble sacrifice of Minato. The following day of the attack, Minato announced to the village the noble sacrifice he performed to save the village. My people of Konohagakure, Minato announced. Today our village suffered a major blow from the attack of the Kyuubi no Kitsune. We lost many loved ones who gave their lives to help us defeat it. Today we honor their sacrifice, especially my sister-in-law Kara Uzumaki. It was thanks to her bloodline and her few ninjutsu skills that we were able to contain it. So the is gone for good? A villager asked. Yes, I was able to summon the Shinigami herself to help me defeat the Kyuubi. But since the fox is pure chakra, I had no other option but to seal it away into my son. He and his wife then held up their 2 sons in the village. My eldest son Menma Namikaze holds the chakra of the fox and will use it to protect the village. He praised, but somehow he forgot to mention Naruto. The village cheered for their yondaime and their saviors, well, savior as they view Menma as the hero who stripped the demon fox of its power. Minato and Kushina had trust in the village to treat their children with respect for their sacrifice. However, nobody took notice of Naruto, who was consumed by strange white chakra. Minato knew that his children were going to be happy and he was going to ensure that happened. A burial was held to honor those who lost their lives in their fight with the Kyuubi. Among them was Kara Uzumaki, the older sister of Kushina. She was one of the village's greatest seal masters. Her skills in the art gave rise to future seal masters. Kushina was heartbroken when she heard her sister died to save the village. She vowed to raise her children to be like their aunt and teach them what it means to be a real Uzumaki. However, that wasn't to be, as Jiraiya had arrived at his office that afternoon telling him about a prophecy that talked about his children. A child will be born from the mighty tree. He will have powers of ancients long forgotten. With power of the divine beast he will save the world or become its destruction. If shrouded in darkness, the child of prophecy will bring death to all in its path. If shrouded in love and light, the child will bring the cycle of hatred to an end. He will bear the light of the moon and will use its power to bring peace. Upon hearing that, Jiraiya told his student that he believed that it was Menma, since he held the 9 tails chakra, along with the fact that the fox was a divine beast whose powers were of ancient descent. It was then decided that they will leave the village to train their eldest to control the fox's power, but it also meant that they had to leave their son Naruto behind. They called Lord Hiruzen to his office to discuss their plan. Hiruzen answered their call with Orochimaru at his side. Yes, Minato? Hiruzen asked. You summoned me for something? Yes, Hiruzen, I have summoned you here to retake the mantle of Hokage for a while. Why? The aged Hokage wondered. Why not have Orochimaru fill in for you? Orochimaru would be a good choice, but you have the experience. What aren't you telling us, Minato? Orochimaru asked. Letting out a sigh, Minato revealed his plan to train Menma to harness the Kyuubi's chakra at their capital in the Fire Capital. When Orochimaru asked if they would also train Naruto, since the soul of the Kyuubi was more tempting and manipulative than the chakra, Minato told them with a heavy heart that Naruto was going to be left behind. Minato, you can't be serious about this? Exclaimed Hiruzen with wide eyes. I'm very serious, Hiruzen, Minato responded seriously. But he's your son. You can't just dump him like he's a disposable toy, retorted Lord Third. We aren't doing anything of the sort, replied Kushina harshly. She thought that the third Hokage would understand their reasons for doing this. Doesn't seem like it, Orochimaru scoffed while holding Naruto in his arms. Menma needs training in order to gain control of Kyuubi's chakra. We are going to take him to our estate in the Fire Capital. We've already talked to the Fire Daimyo, and he's already agreed. What about Naruto? Are you just going to leave him here on his own? Asked Hiruzen, referring to the young redhead in his prized student's arms. We can't bring Naruto with us. It's too dangerous for him to come with us, Minato said, taking a step back from the former Hokage's glare. And how, pray tell, is his parents leaving him on his own not dangerous? Orochimaru growled. We have to put all of our attention on Menma because of the demon chakra. Since Naruto has the soul of the Kyuubi, he won't need any special training, Kushina stated. Plus, with Kumo and IWA still angry at them since the previous war, they'll be gunning for Minato and Kushina whenever they can, said Jiraiya. With Naruto in the village, he will be protected and safe from any assassins they sent. Plus, no one will know of his heritage. Like hell he will, the snake Sannin thought to himself. I know this village won't accept little Naruto-chan since they fear what they don't understand. Hiruzen unleashed so much ki that it was suffocating Minato, Kushina, and Jiraiya. It disturbed Menma, but it didn't really affect Naruto for some strange reason. Where will he stay while you're gone? He demanded. Well, we can't have him living with any of the clans, as that would draw suspicion towards him, and we prefer it if nobody but you, Kakashi, Tsunade, and Orochimaru know about this, Minato stated. So it would be best that he stays in an orphanage, Kushina said as she was sweating from Hiruzen's ki that was drilling holes through their faces. Oh hell no! Orochimaru hissed as he let out killer intent, but it was masked over by the killer intent of the third wind as he felt the men's anger, as he whimpered and started to cry. Orochimaru gasped as he realized that they were scaring little Naruto. Oh Naruto, Uncle Snake is so sorry. We were just a little mad at your parents, we're sorry. An orphanage? You want your little boy to grow up in an orphanage? Hiruzen growled, not liking this one bit. It's perfectly safe, it won't draw any suspicion, and when you tell everyone that Naruto has the soul of the Kyuubi, he will be declared a hero among the populace. We'll train Minma, and until he turns 13 we will come back to be with Naruto, Minato said. Jiraiya nodded in agreement with his student. I'll drop in here and now to check up on Naruto. The Toad Sage couldn't stay in the village for long as he had to help Minato and Kushina train their eldest Minma, who he believed was the child of prophecy. Tsunade was going with them as she was the children's personal doctor to ensure that they won't get injured anytime soon. She was after all their grandmother. That's right, Tsunade had a one-night stand with a man named Hans Namikaze and ended up pregnant with Minato. She cared for her son like any mother would, and she was going to be there to take care of her grandchildren. Well, one of them. You've truly become a fool, Minato, to think that this plan of yours will work. I should have made a better decision and declared Orochimaru IV instead of you, Hiruzen said in distaste. Minato winced at those words, as did the others, as they never thought that they would hear those kinds of words coming from Saratobi's mouth. Regardless of what you may think of us, Hiruzen, we won't change our minds. We will take Menma to our estate in the fire capital and train him to control the Kyuubi's chakra, and nothing you say will change our minds, Kushina said in a firm and stubborn tone. Hiruzen and Orochimaru stood up as they glared their darkest glare at the group, which scared them a little, but the group stood their ground. The third Hokage glare was directed towards Kushina as the redhead felt that immense killer intent increased. But it wasn't as intense as the snake's killer intent. I can't believe that you, Kushina, would abandon one child for the other. This clearly shows me that you are playing favorites with your children, Orochimaru sneered. Kushina growled, I am not playing favorites, you bag of scales. She ranted. Yes, you are, Kushina, you're leaving Naruto behind because he isn't a powered child. However, this does prove one other thing, he growled. Really? And what does it prove about Orochimaru? Kushina replied. Your blood traitor, he shouted, shocking them, especially Kushina. A true Uzumaki does not abandon family for any reason, especially for some prophecy told by an old toad. A true Uzumaki stands by their family, their whole family. And because you are choosing to favor Menma over Naruto, this shows and proves you are nothing more than a blood traitor, he roared as he stopped to catch his breath. You're treading on thin ice, Snake. Kushina is doing this for both of her sons. Her duty is to the world, Swanda shouted. Her duty is to be a mother, Orochimaru retorted, glaring at Kushina. Your duty is to take care of both of your children. As I recall, you swore to your sister that you would raise both of your children to become like her, to represent what a true Uzumaki is. Kushina stood there for a minute and was about to retort when Hiruzen interrupted her again. Get out, all of you. At this moment you have all lost my respect, especially you, Kushina. I thought that after what Mito taught you about family you would take those to heart, but clearly you care more about the prophecy than your own son, Hiruzen stated. You clearly don't understand the severity of the situation, Minato said sternly. Exactly, you're getting upset over nothing, said Jiraiya. Hiruzen tried to hold his rage in before calling his ANBU. Weasel. You called Lord Third, Weasel said, bowing to him. Itachi, please escort this bunch from my office. I can't stand the sight of them. Also take them to the edge of the village gate as they are leaving for the fire capital, Hiruzen sneered. Hi! Itachi shouted as he escorted Minato and his group out of the office. Hiruzen sighed as he watched from the window as the Namikazes and the remaining Sannin left. Unknown to them, a certain deity watched the whole thing, and boy oh boy was she not happy. Kami's realm, Shinigami's domain. Shinigami roared as she shoved her stack of paperwork off her desk and then threw the desk into the wall, breaking it in half. She was really pissed, and I mean pissed, and that rarely ever happens. The reason being for her anger was a certain blonde-haired human that she spared. That bastard! She screamed, punching a hole in the wall. I'd, being the generous goddess, spared that blonde-haired monkey's life after sealing the 9 tails into his children, and he goes and abandons his youngest like he doesn't matter because he doesn't hold the fox's chakra. Oh, by the gods, I'll kill him. She sat down in her chair and rubbed her head. Mortals were always so defiant when the gods granted them certain privileges like power, or knowledge, or sometimes rarely eternal life. She never really believed in the humankind that her sister Kami made. To her they were flesh bags or her little playthings until a certain baby blonde seemed to worm his way into her cold and stone heart. The boy was special, but she couldn't understand why, but she didn't dwell on it. Right now she had to think of a way to get revenge on Minato Namikaze. Having a migraine again, sister? Yami asked as she and Kami entered her office, her destroyed office, placed a cup of jasmine tea on her desk. It's that blonde bastard of Konoha. She then took hold of her cup of tea and took a few sips. The warm taste of jasmine tea seemed to calm her a little. As you know, Kami, I sealed the 9 tails into Minato's children. Of course I remember, you spared his life so he could raise his family. Kami chuckled as she poured herself some tea and took a seat next to her death goddess sister. Most of his family, Shinigami growled. Yami turned her head towards her with wide eyes as she took her seat. What do you mean by most of his family? What aren't you telling me? That bastard and his slut abandoned their youngest son in favor of his siblings because he doesn't have the Kyuubi's chakra. She panted as she looked at her shocked sister. Kami put her cup down as she was shocked out of her mind. Her little sister was concerned about a human, and not just any human child. She thought this must be some of her tricks, or as she did the hand signs to break the only nothing happened. Well, my little sister actually cares about a human. I never thought I'd see the day, Kami thought to herself as she laughed. The Shinigami noticed her sister's laughter, and growled, wondering why she was laughing at her. She then went wide-eyed, and her sister must have found out that she was concerned about a certain human. She groaned, knowing that she will never hear the end of this. Oh, go ahead, laugh it up, but rest assured I'm going to make sure that Minato and Kushina regret this for the rest of their lives, Shinigami said in a cold tone. Yami smirked. Really, and how are you going to do that? Last time I checked, we can't interfere with mortal affairs, it's the law, remember? Screw the rules, the death goddess shouted, shocking her sisters. I owe it to that poor boy, and I'm going to make sure that he has people that will raise him and will one day make Naruto so powerful Minato will be begging at his feet. She laughed evilly as she rubbed her hands together. Kami's face palmed at her sister. Her sister wasn't always one for following rules. She was a rebel hell. She wouldn't even listen to most of the time. It's only when she threatened her would she fall into place, but now it seems that won't even work. However, Yami couldn't help but want to see how this would play out. She wondered what she would do for this human child named Naruto Uzumaki. Okay sis, say I let you do this, how are you going to make this up to the boy? Yami asked. The Shinigami gave Yami a smirk as her sisters knew right then and there what she had in mind. Kami couldn't believe that was even going to consider that. It was absolutely insane. Shini-chan, please, you can't possibly consider what I think you're considering, are you? Kami said. The death goddess didn't reply. Instead, she disappeared in a swirl of crying and screaming tormented souls as she left Kami's realm and descended down to the mortal world. Konohagakure Hokage Tower. They left. They actually left and abandoned Naruto here, Orochimaru growled as his rage increased tenfold. Hiruzen sighed as he sat down in the Hokage seat. Yes, they left, and they wanted him to live in an orphanage. Like hell he will. A voice shouted. Naruto isn't going to live in any orphanage. Startled, the men took their defensive positions to protect themselves and Naruto. They noticed a dark portal appear at the office door as a woman came out of it. Her appearance was dark but beautiful. Hiruzen demanded who she was. A dark chuckle made them quiver with fear as she looked up at them. I am here in good faith, Hiruzen, she chuckled. Who are you? Orochimaru hissed, getting his snakes ready to strike her. I am the one who helped Minato seal away the Kyuubi. Shinigami, they both gasped. Bingo, and the reason I'm here is for the little one. Shinigami, with all due respect, you can't take Naruto. He's only a baby, Hiruzen replied with a bit of desperation in his tone. Ha 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 ha, she laughed. I haven't laughed this much in centuries, ha 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 ha. I'm not here to take Naruto. I'm here to make up for what his parents did. Please tell me you'll devour their souls, the snake Sannin begged. Ha 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 ha, maybe, but no, the goddess chuckled. What I am going to do is give Naruto a new set of parents. Ones that will show him good morals and raise him to be a proper shinobi. After all, he is the prophecy child. What? The men shouted. Naruto is the chosen one? Yes, he is. Now on to business. I'm going to return 2 people from the dead and restore them to their youth. They will become Naruto's new parents, and not only that, they will change the way of the village and bring back the true will of fire. Who are these people you're going to resurrect? Hiruzen asked. Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki, she answered. Hiruzen froze in shock. The Shinigami was going to bring back the first Hokage of the Hidden Leaf and the greatest seal mistress in Konoha back to life. Many thoughts were blowing through his mind like a wild storm. He was debating on whether or not this was the answer. One part of him told him to leave his sensei and his wife to rest in peace as they did their job. But the other part of him believed that having Hashirama back would set the village back on the right path, plus Hiruzen could finally retire. After all, Hashirama died young, so he was sure he could handle being Hokage again. Plus this would be a good upbringing for Naruto. I believe it's a good idea, said Orochimaru, shocking his sensei. What are you saying, Orochimaru? Hiruzen asked. What I mean is that Hashirama and Mito would be the perfect role models for him. Especially since this will be a shocker when Swanda and the others come back, the smirked. Well? The Shinigami asked impatiently. What do you say? Hiruzen sighed. I can't believe I'm saying this, but I agree with Orochimaru. Having them back would greatly benefit not only the village, but Naruto as well. But may I ask, Shinigami-sama, why are you doing this? I owe it to the boy, she answered. Wow, who knew you had a heart? Orochimaru chuckled. Don't push the snake, she snarled. Well, I still agree it's a good idea, Hiruzen smiled. A wise choice. Now let's get started, she laughed as she clapped her hands together. Time to work some necromancy. She conjured up shadows as she gripped her scepter, and a large pentagram appeared on the floor. The floor broke apart as many souls were wailing from the underworld. The skies opened up and Hiruzen could see a blinding white light. I call to you from the land you were torn, return to the world from where you were born. Arise, Hashirama, Senju, and Mito Uzumaki. The office shook as the Hokage and the Sannin held onto something and tried to shield Naruto from the ritual and its horrors. The graves of Hashirama and Mito exploded as the ritual took full effect and conjured up their souls. When the light died down, there they stood. Hashirama and Mito Senju Uzumaki in their youth. What's going on? Hashirama asked frantically. How are we back, Mito? He said, looking at his wife. You're young again. Mito looked herself over and looked into a nearby mirror and noticed her youthful appearance. She then looked back at her husband. So have you. But I don't understand why we are back in the land of the living and it is our youth. It's because of the Shinigami, Hiruzen said as they looked at him. Hiruzen, you're still the Hokage? Hashirama chuckled. Unfortunately, he sighed, smoking his pipe. Anyway, to answer your question, like my student said, the Shinigami herself brought you back. But why? Mito asked. Because of this special baby here, he said as Orochimaru introduced them to Naruto. This is Naruto Uzumaki Namikaze Senju, son of Minato Senju Namikaze the Yondaime Hokage, and Kushina Uzumaki. Kushina? Well, so they finally tied the knot, Mito chuckled. Where are they? Well, that's the reason you were resurrected. You might want to sit down for this, Hiruzen said, motioning them to take a seat. They took their seat as Hiruzen explained the entire situation to them, from the Kyuubi attack to Minato and Kushina abandoning their youngest son so they could train their eldest child to control the Kyuubi's chakra. Upon finishing the story, Hiruzen got the response he was looking for. Hashirama was angry, no scratch, pissed off at the disgraceful act committed by his great-grandson and granddaughter. But his anger wasn't even close to the rage Mito Senju was now radiating. Mito felt betrayed that Kushina would betray her teachings on family and what it meant to be an Uzumaki. To abandon one's own child was a sin to the Uzumaki clan, and those who committed this were greatly punished for it. Where are they now? Mito seethed. They are at the capital and won't be back till Naruto turns 13 years old. The snake replied. I see, she said coldly. May I hold him? She asked softly. Orochimaru nodded and placed Naruto in her arms. Mito and Hashirama could see many of the Senju and Uzumaki blood traits in him. From the Uzumaki red hair to the Senju chakra reserve and body structure. He was most certainly a powerful child, but what caught them off guard was the white chakra he had. Being a censor, Mito could see that he was going to be a powerful shinobi in the future. The Shinigami wants you to raise him as your own, Hiruzen said. Will you do it? Well, it's been a long time since we raised kids. I wouldn't mind raising one more, Mito smiled. I agree, Hashirama added. Perfect, Shinigami smiled, making everyone looking at her. I've already switched Minato and Kushina's DNA with yours and Mito's. Congrats, he's now biologically yours. Now if you'll excuse me, I got some souls to torture and lots of paperwork to do. She then vanished through the floor. Well, let me be the first to welcome you back, Sensei, Hiruzen smiled. And to take back the Hokage seat so I can retire. Hashirama chuckled as he agreed to take the seat back after he got settled in with his wife and new son. Hiruzen got the paperwork and filled it out. Mito and Hashirama renamed their son as Naruto Madara Uzumaki Senju, in honor of their old friend Madara Uchiha. After signing the documents, Hiruzen gave Hashirama the keys to the Senju compound. The Senju couple vanished from the office and took Naruto to his new home. The life of Naruto Senju begins. Hashirama and Mito arrived at the old Senju compound. It was just like they remembered it, a large complex with a main house, large gardens, training grounds, and beautiful forests. It brought back so many memories from the day Konohagakure was formed to the day they died. Looks like we're going to make new memories, Mito chuckled. Hashirama chuckled, kissing his wife's forehead. Let's get settled in. Heading into the compound, they reached the main house, which was a 4-story tall mansion with many rooms. It had a side building attached to the Senju clan dojo, where future Senjus were trained before they attended the academy. Going inside, the main hall was as grand as the architecture. The Senju compound was an ancient cultural building since the Great Wars. Though it's gone through many renovations over the years, it was still a sight to behold. They entered the living room, which was small with couches and other pieces of furniture. They could take in the fresh new scents as Hashirama sat down in his favorite armchair that was still there after all these years. Mito darling, why don't you take Naruto up to his new bedroom? I'm sure the nursery is still there. Hashirama asked, leaning back into his chair. Oh Hashi, you always were a little lazy at home, but you were a fantastic husband, Mito chuckled, taking Naruto upstairs. Mito headed upstairs as she came to the nursery where her grandchildren Tsunade and Nawaki used to play and sleep when they were babies. She quickly lost her smile when she thought of Tsunade, who abandoned her youngest grandchild for her eldest one. She headed inside as the walls were painted to look like the forest. There were many child toys that she might have to replace with new and safer ones. She came to the crib that looked brand new. She guessed it must have been Minato's old crib. She looked down at her new child and smiled as the baby was sound asleep in her arms. Oh Naruto, you're going to love it here. Your father and I will make sure you grow up loved and strong. After all, we stick together, and we always put family first. Naruto yawned as Mito placed him in his crib and placed a blanket over him. She gave him a kiss on his forehead and smiled down at him. She then hummed a little tune as she began to sing him a lullaby. Luli, 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 lile, luli, 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 lile. Lay down your head and I'll sing you a lullaby. Back to the years of Luli Lile. And I'll sing you to sleep and I'll sing you tomorrow. Bless you with love for the road that you go. May you sail far to the far fields of fortune, with diamonds and pearls at your head and your feet. And may you need never to banish misfortune. May you find kindness in all that you meet. May there always be angels to watch over you, to guide you each step of the way, to guard you and keep you safe from all harm. Luli, luli, lile. May you bring love and may you bring happiness. Be loved and return to the end of your days. Now fall off to sleep, I'm not meaning to keep you. I'll just sit for a while and sing Luli, lile. May there always be angels to watch over you, to guide you each step of the way, to guard you and keep you safe from all harm. Luli, luli, lile. Luli, luli, lile. Luli, 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 lile. She smiled as Naruto snored quietly as he looked so serene when he's fast asleep. Mito leaned down gently to kiss his forehead again. I love you, my son, she whispered before leaving the nursery to join her husband in the living room. How is Naruto? Hashirama asked Mito. Naruto is sleeping soundly, my dear. Mito smiled. Wonderful, now that we've gotten settled in, it's time for me to greet Hiruzen to discuss the future of the village. According to the details supplied to him by his old student after they were resurrected, the civilian council had gotten out of hand. They meddled in the affairs of the shinobi which they had no say in. He should have listened to his brother, and not given the civilian council so much leeway. Well, that all stops now. Will you accompany me, dear? Of course, Hashirama, just let me do one thing, Mito said, creating a blood clone. You stay here and guard Naruto, she ordered her clone. Of course, the clone replied. Hashirama took her hand as he them to the Hokage's office. Konohagakure Village Market District. Since the attack of the Kyuubi yesterday, many of the shinobi and civilians that suffered the traumatic experience of the attack were slowly trying to move forward. They suffered many casualties and losses, including loved ones. Reconstruction of the village was underway as the reparations of the northern and eastern district sector of the village that suffered the most damage was almost complete. Everyone moved on and licked the wounds except for a few. Among those few was Kakashi Hatake, Minato's only surviving student. Kakashi Hatake, the copycat ninja who copied over 1,000, a man who many call the hardcore strong-hearted ninja, was now drinking his anger and sake at the local bar. The man couldn't let go of the hate he felt when he discovered that his own sensei Minato Namikaze was abandoning his youngest son for his child. Not only that, but Kushina, who always spoke proudly on how family is important and always sticks together, would suddenly abandon her child for a prophecy. I mean, she's an Uzumaki, for crying out loud. It made him sick to his stomach, and didn't even get him started on the Sannin. But he was happy that Orochimaru didn't go with them. At least the snake had brains and a heart. Hatake-san, the bartender asked. Don't you think you had enough? I'll tell you when I have enough, Kakashi ranted. Another one! The bartender immediately refilled his glass as Kakashi gouged it down in a single gulp. Kakashi's friends watched him in disappointment but sorrow. They knew that Kakashi took Minato's leaving and abandonment of his son hard. After all, Kakashi looked up to and admired his sensei, but now he wouldn't even speak of him. Hokage Tower, Hokage's office. In the Hokage's tower, Hiruzen was stuck doing what all Kage feared the most: paperwork. That's right, paperwork, a Kage's worst nightmare. After the attack, he's gone through pile after pile after pile. Curse you, Minato, you leave the village, but you don't give me the secret to defeat paperwork, he groaned as he scanned through the papers. Many of the papers were from the civilian council that demanded lots of money to repair their homes and businesses that were destroyed in the attack. Hiruzen sighed as he leaned back into his chair and smoked his pipe. The civilian council had been a pain in the ass ever since he took the mantle of Hokage. He still couldn't believe his sensei Hashirama gave them a say in shinobi affairs, which was a mistake as the civilians grew arrogant and began to abuse their authority. But he hoped when Hashirama retakes the mantle he will be able to set things straight. I'm getting too old for this, the professor said, smoking his pipe as he went over the reports of the damage. Bear, he yelled. A bare-masked ANBU knelt before him. Hi Sandame-sama, the ANBU stated. Give me the full situation report, the number of casualties of both civilians and shinobi. Hiruzen ordered. Hokage-sama, shinobi casualties have been estimated at 1,000 shinobi along with 150 ANBU dead, and the number is still rising. We haven't cleared all of the debris of the northern and eastern sector, so we aren't really sure. However, the civilian casualties have reached 1,500 dead and many in critical condition. Bear finished. Very well, thank you for the report, Bear. You are dismissed. Leave the report here on my desk and return to your duties. Hiruzen commanded. With your leave, Hokage-sama, said Bear as he flickered away. Arg. Just when I'm finally ready to retire, Kami herself decides to fuck it up, and now I have to deal with more paperwork, he groaned as rubbed his temples. Why does Kami hate me? After 10 minutes, Hiruzen had finally finished up the remaining paperwork that was the death of him for years. He was glad to finally be rid of it. The only thing left to do now was to make his sensei the new Hokage and finally retire to live out the remainder of his years as he wants. He got up from his seat and cleaned off his desk, and started to smoke his pipe when Hashirama appeared. Still smoking, Hiruzen? Those things can kill you, you know, Hashirama chuckled. When you're as old as I am, sensei, you realize that sometimes a smoke can make any stressful day a relief. He sighed, taking a puff. So I take it you're ready to retire for the day? Hashirama asked him. Yes, sensei, he groaned. Now I can finally retire. Lord Third took off his hat and robes and presented them to Hashirama. Lord First took them with great pride like he did over 100 years ago. Placing the robes on, he straightened and tightened the knots. He then placed the hat atop his head as Hiruzen welcomed him back as the Hokage. Mito also congratulated her husband. A knock at the door as an ANBU spoke from outside the office. Lord Third, the council has requested your presence, the ANBU dear said. Tell them I'll be right there, Hiruzen replied, waiting till Umbu left. Well, sensei, it's time to reveal your existence to the council. Indeed, it's also time for the village to go through drastic changes. Hashirama started coldly. Lord Third and Lady Mito nodded as they left the office and followed Hashirama to the council chambers to discuss the future of the Leaf and to knock some people down a peg. Council chambers. Hiruzen and company stood before the door that led to the council meeting. Lord Third had been notified that everyone else had already arrived. But as he stood before it, he couldn't help but feel a slight unsettled, as if something big was going to conspire. Boy, oh boy, was he in for a surprise. He could already hear soft chatter and discussions going on. Praying to the gods that were listening, he pushed open the door and swept into the room. Lord Third took his seat at the head of the table, and then surveyed the council. The council was split into 3 parts: the Shinobi Council, which consisted of the clan heads of the Hyuga, Aburame, Inuzuka, Akimichi, Nara, Kurama, Uchiha, Saratobi, and the Nara clan minus the Senju, Uzumaki, and Namikaze seats that were still empty. But not for long. The Civilian Council that handles civilian and financial affairs like stocks and trades, and finally the Elder Council, which consisted of the Hokage's advisors Hamura, Koharu, and the old war hawk Danzo. "Order, I call this meeting to order," shouted Hiruzen. "Hokage-sama, where is Minato?" Hayashi asked. "Shouldn't he be here?" Following his battle with the Kyuubi, Minato managed to defeat the beast with the SS rank Fuinjutsu called the Shiki Fujin. With it he was able to summon the goddess of death herself, and had sealed the 9 tails away into his children Menma and Naruto. The Hokage explained. Menma holds the fox's chakra while Naruto contains the soul. The Civilian Council immediately called for the death of the youngest Namikaze, for they believed he was the 9 tails in human form. Hashirama and Mito, who were outside of the chambers, were furious but kept their cool. They didn't want to give themselves away just yet. "Silence," Hiruzen shouted. "Hokage-sama, we must kill the demon," a civilian shouted. "We must kill it while it's still weak in human form." "I'll show you a demon," Hashirama whispered, getting his kunai ready until Mito stopped him. Mito gave Hashirama a look that said, "Don't act rashly, wait for the right moment." Hashirama groaned before putting away his kunai. "Naruto is what keeps the demon from escaping and killing us all," Hiruzen shouted to the fat merchant civilian. Hamura cleared his throat. "May I suggest that handing thee over to the council we can train them to control the power of the tailed beast. I will train them to be strong and loyal ninjas of the leaf." Hiruzen groaned. "The answer is no. Besides, Minato and Kushina left for the fire capital. Unfortunately, they decided to only take Menma and left Naruto behind." "What?" the clan head screamed. "Good, maybe they will train their son to kill the demon with the very power that they stripped from him," another civilian shouted. "Enough," Mabuki Haruno screeched. "This boy Naruto is as much a victim as we are." Everyone was shocked that Mabuki Haruno, the head of the Civilian Council, would defend the boy. Hiruzen was most shocked since her husband Seiko Haruno was a demon hater and was killed in the Kyuubi attack. "Mabuki Haruno, how could you defend the demon who killed your husband?" a wealthy civilian asked. "I'm not defending the demon, I'm defending the boy who imprisoned it," she harshly replied. "Why would Minato, especially Kushina, leave their youngest pup and take their other pup with them? It doesn't make sense," Some said coldly. "I never thought my teammate could do such a thing," Hayashi shouted. "Such a drag, but I have to agree with them, Hokage-sama. It sounds to me that Minato preferred the kid with the fox's chakra, am I right?" Shikaku asked. "Leave it to Naira to figure things out quickly." Hiruzen's sweat dropped. "You hit the nail on the head, Shikaku. Kushina stated that Menma needed to control the Kyuubi's chakra and that Naruto just wasn't that important." The Shinobi Council was in an uproar at the complete disregard that their once beloved yondaime and red-hot habanero had towards their youngest son. Questions were soon asked about what would happen to the boy. Many of the clans offered to take him in. The first one to volunteer was Fugaku, who secretly wanted a weapon to increase the power of the clan. Next was Hayashi, who was ashamed of his former best friend and thought of taking the boy, and not for Minato or Kushina but to give the boy a caring, loving home. Some wanted to take care of the child as she can relate to him since she herself comes from a clan that was once feared and demonized due to their wolf-like features and powerful techniques. Some also was ashamed her blood sister Kushina would abandon one pup for the more powerful one. She thought the redhead was an Uzumaki, a clan that was known to put family above all else, but clearly she was wrong. The Shikacho Ino trio couldn't take care of the child since they have their hands full with kids of their own, plus with the fact that Nara men would complain as always. And clearly they didn't want Naruto to be lazy. The Yamanaka were out of the question since Yamanaka males were always busy with barely enough time to spend with their kids, leaving it to their wives, and Naruto needs to have a father that dedicates their lives to both their jobs and their kids equally. Finally, the Akimikis tend to overfeed their kids, and I don't think they would want a fat Naruto. The Aburame was clearly out of the question since who would want bugs living in their bodies? Hiruzen sighed as he silenced them with a small amount of ki. "Now that I have your attention, I understand that you all wish to take care of the boy. Unfortunately, that won't be happening. You see, the Shinigami who sealed the Kyuubi away left us a little present." Koharu spoke up first. "Hiruzen, what are you talking about?" I'll let our guest explain, Hiruzen smiled as he motioned the couple inside. The council gasped as silence filled the room. Everyone could only stare, and not even say a word. There standing before them was the first Hokage, Hashirama Senju and Mito Uzumaki. The shinobi clan head stood in awe and respect for one of the village's founders. However, the advisors were not convinced and believed it to be a trick. Hiruzen, what trickery is this? You dared defile our sensei memory by using the Edo Tensei to bring him back to the land of the living? Kohara shouted. Silence your mouth, insolent pups. Hashirama shouted. This is not my brother's. The Shinigami has brought my wife and I back to the land of the living. Why would the goddess of death bring you back? Shikaka Nara asked. Unless there was a good reason. Mito was the one who spoke up to answer the Nara. Yes, Lord Nara, you see the Shinigami is angered for Minato breaking his promise to her. After Minato abandoned Naruto here without a second thought, it was decided that we would return to the mortal plane and raise Naruto as our own. What? Everyone shouted. Indeed, the Shinigami replaced Naruto's blood and DNA with my own and my wife's. Naruto is biologically ours now, and we shall thrive where Minato had failed. I will also retake the mantle of Hokage. After all, I think we all agree it's time for Hiruzen to step down so he can enjoy his golden years. That is true, Sensei, Hiruzen agreed until he let out a huge smile. This is a grand occasion, now Lord First can keep the demon in check and keep it weak. A civilian cheered. The demon will be bowing at our feet. The civilian's rejoicing was cut short when a spike of wood sprang from the floor and pierced through the man's neck, killing him. Hokage-sama! A civilian council member shouted. The next person who calls my son a demon, their lives are next, Hashirama screamed angrily. Now since I'm Naruto's father, and the eldest Senju male, then by clan law I'm the clan head, and my wife shall be the Uzumaki clan head since she's the eldest Uzumaki, considering Kushina broke her vow to the clan and hasn't been active in her duties as clan head. My husband is right, and you all know it too, plus Minato never took the mantle of Senju clan head since he's the Namikaze clan head, so therefore by the law the clan head position is passed to the eldest Senju, Mito stated. Well, Sensei, since you're going to retake the mantle of Hokage, which is wonderful, let me be the first to welcome you back. This will keep our enemies off our backs and we will be able to rebuild a bit faster, said Danzo, getting a nod from Hashirama. If there is nothing else to discuss, then I hereby dismiss this meeting, Hiruzen stated. Wait, Kohara said quickly. What shall we tell the village? Nothing, Danzo shouted, making everyone look at him. The village has started rebuilding itself, and the people are trying to get over their grief. If you announce Naruto's status, he will become a target, an outlet for their rage and hatred for the fox. Danzo, Hiruzen said surprisingly. This is a side of you I've never seen. I may be a cold shinobi, Hiruzen, but I'm not heartless, Danzo said sternly. Therefore I ask that we keep Naruto's status a SSS rank secret so that the boy can at least have a normal life. The civilian council minus Mabuki went into an uproar again. They refused to do anything that would protect the demon. Danzo silenced them with a threat of execution if even one of them revealed the boy's status to anyone. This silenced them completely as they sank down into their seats. The first Hokage could only smile at how mature Danzo has gotten since his genin days. One more thing before I dismiss this meeting. The civilian council is hereby disbanded. I will discuss it with Mabuki Haruno after everyone leaves. The civilians wanted to retort, but a single glare from Mito kept them quiet. They didn't take their defeat well though, they swore to do everything they could to make the demon pay. When no one had anything else to talk about, Lord First dismissed the council. Mabuki stayed behind as ordered as she gave a list of civilians that she knew wouldn't blame Naruto for something he couldn't control. Hashirama thanked her as she bowed her head and left the chambers. Well, I'd better get back to Naruto, it's time for his feeding. Mito smiled as she to the Senju compound. Looks like we better go over the village rules and make some changes. It's time the village had a wake-up call, Hashirama told Hiruzen. Hiruzen nodded. Yes, I agree, Sensei. This will undo everything the previous civilian council had done. Hashirama and Hiruzen spent the afternoon going over the old and new laws that were made after Hashirama's death. Hiruzen was right about one thing, the village hidden in the leaves was in for a huge wake-up call. It's been a few months since the Kyuubi incident, and the village had already managed to rebuild itself in record time. The memories, however, of that horrible night were still embedded in their picks. Their former Hokage, Hiruzen, put their fears to rest with words of encouragement that the leaf will never fall. Many believed it, but some have not. Hiruzen had also revealed to the village the gift Kami blessed them with. he revealed the return of the first Hokage Hashirama Senju. The village was in complete shock when the legendary god of shinobi made his presence known to them atop the Hokage Tower. Hashirama, with words of wisdom from his days as Hokage and his speech of the will of fire, gave rise to strengthen the hope of the people. The village cheered out his name as Hashirama retook the hat and robes from Hiruzen. After taking the robes, Hashirama, who nodded to his student, turned to address the village and revealed that Minato left the village after the Nine Tails attack was over. Horror filled the audience as he told them how he just left the village to train his son Menma to control the Kyuubi's chakra while leaving the village to rebuild without its leader. Anger and harsh words spread as the villagers demanded the return of the yondaime for his desertion. Hashirama put them to rest and promised them that Minato would pay for his crimes. Kakashi approached the shodaime and asked if they could be allowed one piece of revenge, no matter how small. "You're Kakashi Hatake, Minato's prize student, what do you have in mind?" Hashirama asked. Kakashi Hatake walked past him and stood before the Hokage mountain and pointed to Minato's stone face. "Minato deserted us, he abandoned his child because of a prophecy, he left us when we were still rebuilding. He believed a prophecy was more important than taking care of our village," Kakashi scoffed. Kakashi taught Kurenai and Might Guy. "I suggest we take the stone face down," Kakashi said, shocking everyone. "If Minato believed we were not good enough because of a prophecy, then he doesn't deserve to be." Hashirama looked at Hiruzen. "Hiruzen? Kakashi has a point. You once said those who desert their comrades are trash, but those who desert the village are unforgivable. Minato chose to leave after the village was rebuilding itself. He made his choice." "You have a point," Hashirama said before looking at the village. "Do as you see fit." The villagers cheered as chains were thrown and hooked into the stone face. The villagers grunted as they started to pull on the chains. The weight from the stone was strong, but their anger was stronger. "Arg!" they shouted as the stone in the mountain started to crack and slowly break. "Chidori!" Kakashi said. He plunged his lightning blade through the Hokage's stone head forehead. The strain from the chains and the Chidori was too much as the stone broke apart as the villagers pulled one final time. The stone face broke from the mountain as it came crashing down. The stone face hit the ground as it broke apart upon impact as the villagers cheered. Hashirama was shocked but proud of the villagers' dedication and loyalty to the village. The following afternoon the village was being rebuilt with the thousands upon thousands of fresh wood Hashirama gave them with his mokutan. The money that the Senju and Uzumaki clan had were then shared among the people to help them get back to their lives. 20% of their clan's fortunes were given to rebuild the village itself, while another 10% were given to the civilians for their stores, businesses, and homes that were destroyed. The village's reconstruction was going perfectly with the supplies Lord Shodaime had given them. Meanwhile, back in his office, Hashirama was going through the paperwork, a Hokage's nightmare. But Hashirama chuckled as he knew the secret to defeat paperwork, and that was shadow clones. His assistant Mabuki Haruno was helping with the minor things in the village such as financial and other small problems. She was a great help to him. Hokage-sama, his secretary, a middle-aged woman, said, entering his office. "Rava, what can I do for you?" "Pardon the interruption, Lord Hashirama, a letter arrived for you, sir," she said, handing him the letter. When he took it, he saw on the back the Namikaze clan symbol. It was from Minato and Kushina. Gripping the letter in his hands, he tried to keep his anger in check before taking a deep breath. "Thank you, Rava, that will be all." "Hi," she said, leaving the office. Hashirama growled softly, still glaring at the letter. Should he open it? Or should he just cast it away like Minato cast away Naruto? Mabuki noticed how stressed the Hokage was and wondered if it had something to do with the letter. Approaching him, she asked if he was all right. "Oh yes, Mabuki-san, I'm fine." "Are you sure, Lord Hokage? You seemed really stressed." "No, it's nothing, I'm okay." "Very well if you are sure," she said before going back to her duties. Sighing in relief, Hashirama slowly began to open the envelope. He decided he should at least read what Minato had to say, no matter how bad the excuses he would make. Taking out the paper, he unfolded the letter and began to read. "Dear Hiruzen, Kushina and I have made it to the fire capital safely. We have settled in just fine in the royal district of the capital. It feels good to be back home where my ancestors lived. I'm looking forward to teaching Menma about his ancestors and all the techniques of the clan. Kushina has been going on about how Menma will take after her clan more than mine. But enough about that. How's Naruto doing? We haven't received any letter from you since we arrived. I can only guess you're still angry at us for leaving Naruto behind. But like I said, Hiruzen, we need to train Menma to control the chakra, and having the boys together would allow the soul to regain its stolen chakra. It's best they grow apart so they will both be safe. Trust me, Hiruzen, this is for the best, you'll see. But putting that aside, how is my son? Is he being spoiled by the villagers due to his new hero status? Oh, Kushina wanted to write to you as well. Hiruzen, this is Kushina, still upset about my choice. See reason for once, old man, I'm doing this for both of my boys. I love them both, and having Naruto here will just endanger him if the soul is anywhere near its chakra. You can hate me all you want, old man, but I will not risk both my children's lives if Kyuubi regains its chakra. I hope you raised Naruto with good morals, because I won't have him becoming a spoiled brat when we come to reclaim him. I hope you didn't make Naruto believe we abandoned him for his brother, because if you did, Hiruzen, you're going to be a very sorry old man. Also, I don't want Orochimaru influencing my baby with his newfound hatred for me and my husband. The prophecy is very important, and Naruto will be trained when we come to him to support his brother. Menma will become the next head of the Senju and Uzumaki clans, and Naruto at best will be a branch member. Naruto will be trained in minor ninjutsu, and mostly taijutsu as a support ninja, and will help his brother fulfill the prophecy. You'll see, Hiruzen, it will all work out for everyone. Jiraiya will be coming in a few days to check up on Naruto for us. Yours sincerely, Minato and Kushina Namikaze. After finishing the letter, a storm of emotions raged within the first Hokage. Hashirama was infuriated that the Yondaime and his wife felt so little for their son. They believed him to be a weak support ninja to aid his elder brother in fulfilling a prophecy which he might add isn't even set in stone. After all, prophecies constantly change, and in Hashirama's opinion, prophecies don't foretell a person's fate. To him, a shinobi makes his or her own fate. He then tore up the letter in anger and tossed its scraps in the garbage. He then grabbed a piece of paper and a pen and began to write his own reply. He put every amount of emotion into his response, and then had it sealed. "Mabuki!" he shouted. "Yes, sir," she replied. "Take this letter and give it to the Postal Ninja Division. I want this letter sent to the Yondaime Hokage in the fire capital immediately," he said coldly. Mabuki, feeling the coldness emitting from him, nodded and rushed out of the office to have the letter delivered. After she left, Hashirama vanished from his seat after finishing all of his paperwork. Uzumaki Senju Compound, Hokage's monument. Mito Uzumaki was in the kitchen, dressed in a long light green dress skirt and a blue t-shirt that tightened against her chest, showing some cleavage. She wore a pink apron that said "Insult my cooking, I'll kill you" on it as she hummed a little tune, getting lunch ready for her family. She was cooking some delicious miso ramen with a side of bread and vegetables. She wanted her kids to be healthy and well-nourished. Mito-san, a voice rang out. "Oh, Itachi," Mito smiled, turning around to look at the. Itachi was helping her out with Naruto for the day, as the heir had taken care of her son while she was doing the house chores and working at the hospital. Itachi walked towards her carrying Naruto in his arms. Naruto Uzumaki Senju, the pride of the clans, was a beautiful clone of his parents. His baby fat skin trimmed to a soft pale tan that resembled his mother's. His hair was blood red like his mother, and his eyes were a dark brown like his daddy. He was a mini male version of Mito. He was the shining light in not only her life, but also the village's. "Is Hashirama coming home soon?" Itachi asked. "Yes, he will be home soon," Mito replied. "I thank you again, Itachi, for helping me these past few days." "Glad to help, Mito-sama. I think I might become Naruto's favorite babysitter." Mito got the lunch ready when her husband entered the room with a smile on his face. He greeted his wife with a kiss on the cheek as he smelled the ramen that was cooking. He also noticed her famous dumplings that she always made. He tried sneaking his hand over to grab one, only for a ladle to smack his hand. He yelped, rubbing his hand, as his wife gave him a stern but happy smile. "Ah, Hashirama, we don't eat dumplings till after lunchtime," she said, smiling. Hashirama grumbled, troublesome wife. "So mean. Not even one?" he asked. "No, Hashirama, no snacks before lunch," Mito yelled. Hashirama sulked in his seat as Mito sighed with a smile. "You're hopeless," Mito chuckled. "Uzumaki women are so mean," he grumbled. "I heard that," Mito smirked. Hashirama sighed with a small laugh. "Well, how's my favorite family?" "We are doing fine," said Mito. "Itachi was a good help as well." "Oh yes, Itachi Uchiha, a prodigy similar to Madara. I heard you completed your mission in record time yesterday," Hashirama praised. "Well, when I reached the border, my team was greeted with hostility from IWA. Apparently they heard about you coming back from someone from the Leaf and attacked us. Luckily we killed about 200 out of 250 IWA ninjas thanks to my Sharingan and Kakashi's Chidori. Hashirama sighed and let out a groan at the info. Conflict no matter what the era. After lunch Hashirama, we are going to the festival. Mito reminded him. Now let's sit down and eat. I don't want all of my hard work on this meal spoiled, okay? Hi, he said as everyone began to eat. Would Itachi care to join us? Oh, thank you, Lord Hokage. After the delicious lunch, all the dishes were cleaned thanks to Itachi and his shadow clones. Soon Itachi left to greet his family while Mito and Hashirama got dressed to get ready for the Spirit Festival to honor the shinobi who lost their lives for the village. Hashirama dressed himself in a black kimono with red satin, while Mito dressed in a royal kimono with white satin tied around the waist. She wore her gold headpiece as 2 ceiling tags hung from the buns and hair. Naruto was dressed in baby clothes, well dressed like a little fox. Alright, let's get going, the festival won't start without us present, Hashirama smiled. They left the compound and met with their fellow friends that awaited them at the complex gates. They bowed their heads to their clan heads as they greeted them. The entire family soon left to join in the festivities. Kanehigakura's central sector. The festival was in full swing as the village square was decorated with lots of lights, lanterns, and lots of masks. Lots of food was prepared and the game stands were put up for the children. The people dressed in appropriate clothing for the celebration. Hashirama and his family arrived as the people greeted them with warm smiles and good greetings. Welcome, Hokage-sama, a civilian said. My lord and lady, an elderly woman started bowing her head. The smiled. Hello my friends, I trust things are well, he asked, getting a nod from the festival committee, which was made up of 130 civilians, and 300 shinobi and retired shinobi. A young woman walked up to the family presenting him with a plate of fresh dango which he accepted. It was so delicious as he gave her a thumbs up on it, making her happy. Lord Hashirama, a voice rang out. The family smiled as they noticed it was Mikoto Uchiha and her family. Fugaku greeted them with a firm nod which they returned. The Uchiha clan head and Hashirama were not friends but remained civil each other. Fugaku was still all about having Naruto as a weapon, but after fighting Mito Uzumaki, who gave him such a tongue lashing, she gave him such a beating, Fugaku turned over a new leaf, although he was still the cold clan head we all know and love. Mikoto greeted the family as she gave them each a hug, including the little red head who always brought a smile to her family. She was the friend of the family, but to Naruto Mikoto was more like an aunt or second mother figure. Ever since she found out about Kushina abandoning Naruto like he was nothing, she lost all respect for the redhead. In fact, the day after she found out what Kushina did, she burned and ripped up every picture that she had of them together. She even threw away all the gifts that Kushina bought her over the years they were friends. She never wanted anything to do with her, and soon found a new friend in Mito. Mikoto, good to see you, Mito said as she presented the rose to her. Mikoto smiled as she knelt down and took the rose. Aw, thank you, I love it. She sniffed the rose before she put it in her hair. You look lovely, Kaa-san, that rose brings out your beauty, Itachi laughed. Naruto picked out the rose for you, Mito chuckled. Mikoto laughed as she rubbed his head. Oh, thank you, Naruto. Hashirama smiled. How are you doing, Lady Mikoto, Lord Fugaku? I thought Uchihas don't like happy, bright festivals or parties, he joked, getting a bonk on the head from his wife. Forgive my husband, he tends to make jokes at the worst times, Mito laughed. The Uchiha and the Uzumaki Senju families met up with their fellow clans while their children set out to meet with their friends and play lots of games. Soon Hiruzen and his wife had met up with Hashirama. He greeted the couple with a bow of respect which the couple had returned. Welcome, Lord Hiruzen and Lady Biwako, it is good to see you, they said. The honor is our Lord Hashirama, Biwako said respectfully. I trust you, you are looking forward to the festival with your family. Hiruzen laughed while enjoying a glass of sake. Mito nodded. Yes indeed, thank you. Enough chatter, we have a festival to enjoy, Hashirama said as everyone headed to join their friends in the festivities. Fire Capital, Namikaze's compound. Kushina had placed Menma to bed as she had headed downstairs to have some tea with Minato and the others. After the stressful afternoon, she had taken care of her bundle of joy. Menma was exactly like her when she was a baby. She was greeted by Tsunade, who made her favorite tea, the sweet scent of jasmine tea. She took notice of Minato and Jiraiya, who were covered in scratches and slight bruises, meaning they were out training. Oh well, boys will be boys. Here you are, Kushina, Tsunade smiled, setting the tea in front of her. Thank you, Tsunade-sensei. Kushina smiled, taking a seat and taking a sip from her tea. Sounds like you had quite the afternoon with Menma. Tsunade laughed. Yeah, he was a handful, but I can handle it. He's more like me every day. Yeah, I remember all the sleepless nights I had. Minato jokes. That's why I'm the mother darling, I'm the more mature parent. Kushina smirked. Hey, speaking of babies, have you heard of Sarutobi-sensei? Jiraiya asked. No, sensei, Minato sighed, shaking his head. I believe he's still holding a grudge against us. The group groaned. Hiruzen was still being a sour puss about them leaving. He just couldn't understand the situation and how important the prophecy was. They haven't heard from him in a few months and they haven't received any updates on Naruto either. Tsunade bet it was Orochimaru that prevented any letters from reaching them. Minato, I have a strange feeling that Naruto might come to hate us, Kushina cried. Minato placed his arm around his wife's shoulder to comfort her. It's alright, darling, if he does hate us, then we will do everything in our power to get him to forgive us. Trust me, I am sure that our son will not hate us. Minato is right, Kushina. Once we explain the situation, then Naruto will understand. Besides, he's probably enjoying his life as the hero who kept the village safe from the Nine Tails. Jiraiya stated firmly and jokingly. Suddenly there was a raven upon their windowsill with a scroll attached to its leg. It was an Uchiha raven due to the Sharingan eyes. It was used by the Hokage to send private messages. Everyone wondered why Hiruzen would send them a letter now of all times, since he didn't want anything to do with them. Kushina placed her hand on his shoulder to calm him. Minato took all deep breaths as he unrolled the scroll and began to read. Dear Minato and Kushina, you got some nerve to think so little about your son. Naruto is more than just a support ninja. Naruto is an innocent soul and I won't tolerate you tainting that light. Also, I'm not Hiruzen, I'm the new Hokage who replaced your sorry ass. I've also placed Naruto under mine and my wife's care. We will take care of him since you're too lazy to take care of both of your kids. And you, Kushina, well, my wife is an Uzumaki and unlike you she knows what it means to be an Uzumaki. You, Tsunade, I am ashamed of you, to think you'd sink this low, you disgust me, you better hope I don't get my hands on you. Naruto is no longer yours, he's my son now. I'll be the father you refused to be, Minato. See you in 13 years, Yandame, because believe me, Minato, you won't be getting a warm welcome. Sincerely, not. The new Hokage. Silence filled the group with the information. First off, they were shocked that Hiruzen replaced Minato so quickly. To think the old man was angry enough to go that far to get back at them. Another thing that horrified them was that Naruto was adopted by the new Hokage and his wife, who just happened to be an Uzumaki woman. Tsunade was pissed that the new Hokage would dare threaten her with bodily harm. New Hokage, or not, she would make sure she pounded his face in. The bastard didn't even sign his name. That bastard Hiruzen, how dare he give away my son to someone else? We told him to leave Naruto in an orphanage so he would be safe. But now Naruto's new parents are threatening us and keeping us from seeing him again. Kushina growled as her hair split into 9 strands. He's my baby, Naruto is my baby, only I can be his mother. No one can love him like I do. Minato, on the other hand, was confused with the threat the new Hokage made against him. Something about not getting a warm welcome when he comes back. Whatever this guy is, Hiruzen must have revealed the prophecy and their plan to the new Hokage. This was a bad prophecy and Naruto's heritage was supposed to be a secret until they came back. Jiraiya was the same way. This whole plan they put together was to be kept secret, but now that Hiruzen had blabbed it to the new Hokage, they would have to rethink of a solution to ensure everything they worked for wouldn't unravel. Sensei really is out to get us, Jiraiya sighed. To think he went this far. No joke, Tsunade growled, taking a gulp of her sake. I bet he made Orochimaru the new Hokage. That I agree with, Minato chuckled. Only he would use threats like this. I say we go back there and pound that snake into paste, Kushina snarled, flipping the table over. No, Kushina, we got the prophecy to think about. We must make sure Menma is ready to defeat the great evil and bring peace to the nations. Minato reminded her. Kushina sighed, fine, but I don't like it. But when we get back to the village, I will be the first one to beat the snake. Of course, Kushi-chan, Minato smiled. Now let's just enjoy our lunch. Hashirama smiled as he watched his son cuddle up Shura in his arms and giggling happily as he chased her around, crawling and giggling. The tiger cub loved playing with the Senju heir. Mito was watching and loved how happy her son was. After a while she stood up, walking towards her little bundle of joy, and crouched down and opened her arms as she urged for him to come to her. Naruto immediately forgot all about the tiger cub and began to crawl happily to his mommy. She opened her arms again, and he started crawling to her. She stepped back a few steps giggling as Naruto sat down puffing his cheeks, making him look all the more adorable. Kakashi sat to the side as he watched the mother-son duo playing. He saw Lady Mito teasing the boy and laughed as he saw Naruto puffing his cheeks at her teasing. He saw that he never cried no matter how much she teased him. The most that she could get out of him was puffing off his cheeks. Opening her arms again and saw Naruto put his hands to the ground and stood up with shaking legs as he took a step towards her, and her eyes widened. Hashirama smiled as he got to his feet and got out the camera as he saw Naruto take his first step. Mito's eyes watered as she saw him take his first step, and she saw him take another, and saw he was watching her sadly, and was confused but urged for him to come to her. "Come on, Naru-chan, just a bit more. Come to Ka-chan," she said through a sob. Naruto took 5 steps and stumbled as she grabbed her in his arms before he fell down, and saw him gazing at her curiously. He put his little hand on her cheek and wiped the tear away. "Oh God, Naru-chan, you walked so far on your first time. Oh my boy, I love you so much," she whispered, and he snuggled in her arms, making her smile. She gazed into his eyes that always drew her to him as she kissed him on the nose as he scrunched his face a bit, and she giggled. "Oh, you're Ka-chan's adorable little boy now, aren't you, Naru-chan, aren't you?" She cooed and kissed him as he giggled. "Mama happy," Naruto cooed. Mito gasped, "Oh Naruto, you said your first word. Mommy love you." Mito squealed as she hugged him tightly. Naruto, I'm so proud of you. I'm so proud," she cried. Hashirama's sweat dropped. Geezer dramatic much, Mito-chan. "Shut up, Hashirama," Mito shouted, making her husband hold up his hands in defense. "Oh, you hurt me home," he laughed. "Besides, I got a little present for Naruto. Shizen helped me pick it out," he asked, and pulled out a small wrapped bundle and handed it to her, as she saw was a little 9-tailed fox pajamas with some stuffed animals. "Oh Naruto, look," Mito said, showing Naruto his presents. Naruto cooed and reached into the box and pulled out a big tiger plush. He giggled happily and cuddled it. Mito smiled as she picked him up and headed to the porch for a drink with her husband. They had hot chocolate and enjoyed the serene silence until an Umbu appeared. "Lord Hashirama, Jiraiya was spotted outside of the main gate. He's demanding to see the Hokage and to check up on Naruto." "Kakashi, come with me," Hashirama snarled, standing up. "It's time we greet Jiraiya, but I can't reveal myself yet, so." Hashirama into a young man in his late 20s with short brown hair and blue eyes. He wore a traditional black silk kimono with a white sash across his waist. "Hi Hokage-sama," Kakashi said, following him. Mito clutched her baby to her chest protectively as she growled at the mention of Jiraiya. There was no way that she was going to allow that toad sage anywhere near her baby. Konoha village gates. Jiraiya arrived at the village gates after a few days' walk from the fire capital. He was on orders from his student to find out the identity of the new Hokage who had taken Naruto from him and Kushina. The news of Naruto being given to another family put a huge dent into the prophecy. According to the Toads, a few days after living in the fire capital, the Toads foresaw an event that would turn the tide of the world. The Toad Sage told them that if the chosen one loses their other half, he will fall into darkness. They believed that if Menma loses Naruto to another family, then Menma would lose his other half of himself and fall to darkness. But what he didn't know was that the prophecy actually meant Kagaya and Naruto, since Kagaya became half of Naruto. Reaching the village gates, he was greeted by the 2 Chunins. "Halt, who goes there?" "Jiraiya of the Sannin, I have come to see the new Hokage and to check up on Naruto." "Naruto-sama is fine, Jiraiya." "Naruto-sama? While the brat must really be enjoying his hero status, if this is how the village spoils him." "I'll take it from here, gentlemen," a voice called out. Jiraiya and the guards turned to see the Hokage dressed in his robes with Kakashi at his side. "Lord Hokage," they saluted. At ease, Hashirama smiled. Hashirama took one look at Jiraiya and tried to keep his anger in check. He was face to face with the man who drove a wedge within the Namikaze family. The man who agreed that Naruto should be left behind so his more powerful brother would be trained to control the fox's chakra. "So you're the new Hokage?" Jiraiya asked bluntly. "And you're the gallant mighty Jiraiya?" Hashirama asked. "I see you in awe of my mighty reputation," Jiraiya boasted. "You mean as a perverted hermit who peeks on women in bathhouses? And who writes that filthy smut, which I might add is insulting to women?" Hashirama pointed out coldly. Jiraiya felt like a sword was running through his heart. This man clearly didn't see the mighty shinobi that was the mighty Toad Sage. I'll have you know I'm the teacher of the fourth Hokage and the child of prophecy men the Namikes. The sage praised. You mean the bastard who abandoned our village when we were still weak after the Kyuubi attack? They shouted. Minato had urgent business to take care of and he left Hiruzen-sensei to take over until the business was finished. Jiraiya takes offense to the insult to his old student. The rebuilding of our village was supposed to be Minato's business. Hashirama snarled back. That blonde bastard was a coward. He fled instead of helping us in case another village attacks us. Minato saved your sorry asses from the Nine Tails, something none of you could ever accomplish in your entire lives, Jiraiya retorted. Minato-sensei was a coward and then abandoned one of his children because of a prophecy told by you and the old Toad Sage. Kakashi spoke out in a cold tone, making Jiraiya flinch. Jiraiya gasped. Kakashi, that's your sensei you're talking about, the man who took you in and raised you like his own son. That man is no longer my sensei, Kakashi shouted. The day he abandoned his youngest son and the village was the day he abandoned me. Oh, and the bastard can take this back. Kakashi tossed the three-pronged kunai Minato gave him for graduation to the ground in front of Jiraiya and stomped it into the dirt. Kakashi, Jiraiya said softly. Now what brings you back to the village? He asked. I have come here to check up on Naruto for Minato and Kushina. Jiraiya replied. I am the boy's godfather after all. You are not going anywhere near my son, you filthy toad. Hashirama hissed. Your son? Jiraiya asked. Oh, that's right, you're the one who adopted the boy. Well, duh, I made that clear in my letter, or is your eyesight as bad your luck with dating a woman? Hashirama seethed, burning Jiraiya. The Toad Sage couldn't believe that he just got burned by the Hokage's insult. That man had a lot of nerve to talk to the great Jiraiya that way. I don't care who you are, but no one speaks to one of the Sannin that way. As I can tell, you are a first-time Hokage and your chakra level says you're at least level. I'm A and on a whole different level. Your arrogance speaks for itself. Kakashi scoffed. Here's what's going to happen, you're going to turn around and go back to the fire capital. Then you'll go back to your old student and his wife and tell them that if any of them try anything against me and my wife or take away Naruto, I will ensure that they are dealt with the harshest punishment known to man, along with a special session with Ibiki and Enko when they have a bad day. After Ibiki and Enko are demons when they work on a bad day. Hashirama shouted with fury in his dark, cold eyes tone. Who do you think you are? Jiraiya shouted. They were going to attack before Hashirama stopped them and glared at the arrogant Toad Sage. Not wanting to reveal his true form or name just yet, he decided to give him a fake name to use. My name is Maru Senju, Hashirama lied. Senju, you're a Senju? Yes, I am. Why did you think the Sen just died out? Besides Tsunade and her family, yes, I did. Well, now you know, and now you can go to Jiraiya. Kakashi escorted him out. Hi, Lord Senju, Kakashi said before facing Jiraiya. Alright, you old toad, come on. Kakashi, you can't blame your sensei for what happened, Jiraiya pleaded. Please see reason. We all saw reason and we have renounced Minato as our. What? What nonsense are you talking about? Jiraiya demanded. Take a look at the Hokage monument, Kakashi said, pointing towards the mountain. Gazing at the Hokage's mountain, he gasped as he noticed that Minato's stone face wasn't there. What happened to his student's stone face on the Hokage's monument? Well, what would happen to Minato's face on the Hokage's mountain? Jiraiya stuttered. The villagers tore it down. What? Why would they do that? What did Minato do to deserve this? He abandoned us and his son in our weakened state. Kakashi hissed. Now I'll escort you to the fire capital, but after that you're on your own. Jiraiya wasn't given another second to speak as the two Chunins joined Kakashi in escorting him to the fire capital. Hashirama sighed as he wiped his forehead. Damn, that was close. It's times like this I wish Madara was still here. Hashirama groaned as he left to go to the office to deal with the council, mostly the civilians. Ever since Hashirama replaced the old civilian council, the former members were using some of their former. They still had to make demands to make things better for the civilian portion of the village. Plus Hamura and Koharu weren't making it any easier. Thankfully Danzo managed to keep his old teammates in line. As Hashirama walked down the street, he passed Danzo. Make sure Jiraiya and his students don't plot anything behind my back. Have Root follow them, and if they prove a threat to my village or my son, kill them. Hashirama whispered. You don't even have to ask me twice, Sensei, Danzo replied as the two men continued on their way. Back with Kakashi and the Chunins, they escorted Jiraiya as far as they were allowed. Jiraiya told him he can get to the Namake's compound in the fire capital from where they were. They just nodded and turned to head home. This was bad, oh so very bad, not only for the prophecy but also for Minato and his family. Since the reveal of Minato's stone face torn off the mountain and the village's doubt about their greatest Hokage, he needed to talk to Minato and somehow win back the praise of the people. Without a second more, he dashed off towards the capital. Namake's clan compound. Minato and Kushina were in their clan training ground as Kushin was training with her sensei Tsunade. The two women were fighting using their clan's taijutsu styles, the Whirlpool Storm style and the Senju Spirit Tiger style. Art, yelled Tsunade as Kushina landed a good kick to her midsection. You're still as strong as always. Kushina smiled as he panted. Thanks, sensei. I can see that despite your old age you're still as strong and hardcore as always. Minato was watching them harness their skills as he was going over training regimens for his son Menma when he reached the age of 4. However, his mind was drifting off towards his other son Naruto, the boy he left behind. Ever since he received that letter from the new Hokage, Minato had lost some of his confidence since losing his position of Hokage, and his youngest at the same time was a low blow to his pride. Now that Naruto was now legally with new parents, he won't be able to help Menma like he was destined to do. This put their plans in a rut. The plan was to come back and bring Naruto back into the family, and then make him the head of the Namake side branch. It was similar to the Hyuga's side branch, but unlike them they don't have a caged bird seal. Suddenly a medium-sized toad dropped down in the training grounds as Jiraiya dropped down from the back of the toad. Minato jumped up and rushed to greet his sensei. Jiraiya-sensei, welcome back. How was your trip to Konoha? Did you speak with the new Hokage and got to check up on Naruto? Yes, I met the Hokage and I found that he's a Senju like yourself and Tsunade. Another Senju? Swanda gasped. Are you sure? Yes, he might be lying, but Kakashi confirmed it by calling him Lord Senju. How is Kakashi doing? Minato asked about his student. Kakashi believed you abandoned the village, and he hates you for it. What? Minato and Kushina shouted. Yeah, he wanted you to have this, Jiraiya said, giving Minato his three-pronged kunai. Minato took the kunai in his shaking hands. His student hated him now? Was everyone he knew going to hate him now for trying to save the world from total destruction? Also, Minato, that's not the worst of it, Jiraiya sighed. What's the worst of it then, you old pervert? Swanda asked. The villagers tore down Minato's stone face from the Hokage's monument. The group's expression was filled with shock, horror, sadness, and betrayal. The villagers that Minato saved from the Nine Tails tore down his stone face off the monument, which meant they renounced him. Minato felt betrayed by his own village. Kushina, on the other hand, was furious that the villagers would treat them like this after they saved them from the Kyuubi. Tsunade didn't know what to think, but she strongly believed Orochimaru had a hand in this. Who bets it was Orochimaru who convinced them to tear down Minato's face? Tsunade seethed. I do, Kushina hissed. I am beginning to believe it as well. Since Orochimaru hated me ever since he lost the Hokage election years ago. Talk about being a sore loser. Minato grumbled. Looks like we will have to win back the hearts of the people when we come back. We can also get the daimyo involved, but I have a feeling we shouldn't since Hiruzen and the new Hokage would persuade the daimyo to join their side. Then what do you do? Kushina asked. We wait. Minato smiled. After 13 years they will all calm down, and we can fix the situation when we come home. Because no matter how bad it is, I won't abandon my village. Spoken like a true shinobi, Minato, Jiraiya praised. I raised you with good morals. Indeed you did, Sensei, Minato chuckled. Indeed you did. It was a bright morning in Konoha as the birds were singing and the sun was shining upon the Senju compound. Mito Senju was sleeping peacefully next to her husband as she felt a light tap on her cheek. She opened her eyes and saw her ball of sunshine wide awake and gazing at her brightly. He kissed her softly, making her smile as she wrapped her arms around him and rubbed his back. Morning, Ka-san, Naruto smiled while holding his big tiger plushie. Morning, little tiger, Mito yawned as she sat up and yawned. Today is the day I finally get to train to be a ninja, he said, jumping up and down in excitement. So Naruto-chan is excited about his training now, isn't he? She asked softly, and he nodded in her neck, making her smile. She sat up and put him on her lap as she brushed his hair softly. So Ka-chan, what will you teach me today? He asked, and she smiled. Well, Naruto, your father, I am going to try and unlock your chakra. she said, and he nodded, beaming happily. That's the life energy that we used to do, isn't it, Ka-chan? He asked, and she giggled and nodded. Hi, you're a smart boy, Sochi. Today I'll tell you what chakra is and how to unlock and use it a bit. Mito smiled. But first, your father needs to wake up first, she said, looking over at her sleeping husband. Hashirama snored loudly as Naruto jumped off his mom's lap and crawled on top of his dad and poked his cheek. "Tu-san," he whispered. "Tu-san, wake up, it's time to wake up." Hashirama grumbled as he put his pillow over his head, groaning. Naruto crawled closer as he pushed his little head under the pillow. "Tu-san," Naruto said as Hashirama woke up. Mito laughed as Hashirama pulled off his pillow and sat up. Rubbing his eyes, he noticed his 6-year-old son sitting on his lap. Chuckling, he picked him up and gave him a hug. "Talk about a good wake-up call," he chuckled. "Sorry, Daddy, but Mommy said you must never oversleep, especially if you're the Hokage," Naruto chuckled. "You are more like your mother every day," said Hashirama. Mito laughed as she dressed in her clothes and picked Naruto up and went towards the kitchen and prepared breakfast for them. Saying their thanks, they dug in as Naruto loved his mother's cooking. Mito was a great cook, much better than her husband. The last time Hashirama cooked it wasn't exactly good, edible but not that good. "So Naruto, do you have any plans after your training today?" Mito asked. "I'm going to visit Sasuke, he and I are going to hang out today," Naruto answered. "Have you spoken with Mikoto first?" "Yes, Ka-san. I spoke with Auntie Mikoto yesterday and she said yes." "Well, as long as she says it's okay, that's fine. But Fugaku-san doesn't seem to like me that much." Mito put down her fork as her son brought up Fugaku. What did that Uchiha theme do now? She knew that Fugaku had a pull up his ass, knowing his arrogance, and his superiority complex should be considered a bloodline since he's a master at having a godlike complex. "What did that toe rag do now?" Mito asked. "When I went to see Sasuke to hang out with him, Fugaku said that Sasuke was busy and didn't have time for Senju scum. He then kicked me out of the compound and slammed the door in my face." Mito slammed her hands on the table, rattling the silverware. Hashirama took notice of his wife's expression. He noticed her mouth was curling into a snarl. He knew Fugaku was a taboo in her house and any mention of him was enough to piss her off. "Did he hurt you?" Mito said with a soft growl. Naruto gulped, seeing his mom this angry. He held his tiger plush in front of his face to hide himself from his mom's angry look. "He only pushed me, Mommy," he said. The sound of a chair being knocked over was heard as Hashirama called out to his wife, who was heading towards the door. Mito ignored her husband's shouts for her to come back. The angry Uzumaki matriarch slammed the door shut and was now on her vengeful way to the compound. "Mommy is scary," Naruto shivered. "Yes, she is, Sochi. Let this be a lesson to you and me, never anger your mom." He then took him to the old Senju grounds and sat under a tree as his son sat down cross-legged beside him. "Alright, son, now I'll explain the theory of chakra. Listen to everything carefully and ask me whatever you don't understand, alright?" he asked. "Yes, father," he nodded, giving his dad his full attention. "Alright, Naruto, chakra is the primary source of energy used by shinobi to enhance their skills. It consists of two halves. Spiritual and physical energy, right?" Naruto pointed out. "Exactly, and for a 6-year-old you're quite smart," Hashirama complimented. Spiritual energy consists of Arin chakra, which is the power of the mind and of one's essence. It is developed through amassing knowledge over the years and can be increased through studying, concentrating and meditating, and builds up with experience. He explained, pausing to see if Naruto understood everything and got a nod in return. Physical energy is the yang chakra, which is the power of one's body and the physical essence. It is developed through intense training of the body and can be increased with the increase in one's stamina and other physical traits. Then when the two energies are together, chakra is formed. Naruto cheered. "Right, son, they can be used separately too, but the skill and control required to use even one of them separately is beyond what most shinobi can use." "I understand, Dad." "Alright then, now we will try and unlock your chakra, Naruto," he said as Naruto grinned foxily in excitement, making him smile. "Relax your body and close your eyes. Keep your focus on yourself and nothing else and try and find a warm pull near your tummy, alright?" Naruto nodded as his father told him and sat like that for half an hour meditating. He tried to connect into his spiritual and physical energy. He knew not many could unlock it on their first try, but Naruto wouldn't give up. He opened his eyes and looked up as Hashirama patted his head. "It's alright, Naruto-chan, rarely anyone gets their chakra unlocked on their first try. Try it again, alright?" he said, and Naruto smiled back. Oh, I gotta head to the office. We can continue the lesson later when I get back or when your mom gets back. Okay, San, I'll stay here and continue to try and unlock my chakra. Alright, don't strain yourself, and I'll send for Shizen to look after you and then take you to the Uchihas to see Sasuke. He kissed his forehead and left for the Hokage's office. Naruto took a small breath and closed his eyes and focused on his inner spirit. The chakra within his body was moving within his chakra network, as the white chakra was trying to break through his chakra paths and chakra gates. His blue chakra, or the physical part of his chakra, was fighting against the white chakra, which was full of spiritual energy. Wow, talk about an inner spiritual war. However, the white chakra broke through the chakra gates and flooded his system, engulfing his body. This chakra feels sentient. Its power feels celestial, Naruto thought. Naruto's mindscape. Unknown to him, Naruto was taken within his mindscape. The redhead gasped as he opened his eyes to reveal a dark area with darkness that went for miles. He called out for anyone, but his voice echoed for miles. No one responded as he continued to walk forward into the darkness before him. He felt like he was walking for hours when he was stopped by a bright light. The light shined from above as it revealed a strong oak tree. This was strange to Naruto and approached it with caution. Approaching it, he laid a hand on it as he felt powerful chakra from it. This power, it's the same as I felt before, Naruto gasped. Where am I? From atop the tree he saw a shining star descending from the sky. Naruto gazed upon it as it landed a few feet away from him. Holding his hand on his forehead to cut down the glare of the light, he tried to make it out. The light died down, taking the form of a woman in her late 30s. She had long white hair that went down to her feet, her flawless skin was soft as silk, and her eyes pale white, similar to the Hyuga's bloodline. One thing for sure, she was beautiful. The woman stepped forward and approached the tree only to find him standing before it. Approaching the boy, she knelt down and cupped his head in her hands. Hagoromo? Hamura? She asked. No Indra or Ashura. Was this woman confusing him with someone else? Your chakra is the same as my son's, but you are not my son, she said, confusing him. No, my lady, my name is Naruto Senju Uzumaki, he introduced himself. Uzumaki. Senju. The descendants of Ashura. Pardon me, my lady, I didn't mean to intrude, I somehow ended up here and I have no idea where this is, Naruto apologized. You are in your own mind, she answered. This is your mindscape. How did I end up here? It seems your chakra or something else called you here. But how are you here? Are you part of my mindscape? I have no idea how I am here, but if I were to guess, I must have been sealed inside of you. Huh! Why would a beautiful lady like you be sealed inside of me? Beautiful? She blushed. This child is something else. Madam, are you okay? Naruto asked. Kaguya. Huh! My name is Kaguya Ootsutsuki. I'm the mother of all chakra. Naruto gasped in shock. He had the mother of chakra itself sealed inside of him? Normally anyone would be prideful and want to use this power to show their superiority over the rest of the shinobi. But Naruto was different. His father used to say, the prideful are powerful, but their arrogance becomes their downfall. Basically speaking, no matter how powerful you are, the outcome depends on how you use it. Naruto went down to his knees in respect. Kaguya, I am honored to be in your presence. Naruto praised her. Child, stand up, do not bow. While I appreciate the respect, you shouldn't treat me like royalty, said Kaguya. But my parents said those of great importance must be shown the proper respect. You certainly were raised right, Kaguya chuckled. That's because he was raised right by actual parents, a voice spoke out, making them look around. Who's there? Naruto called out. Look behind the tree. Naruto and Kaguya walked towards the darkness behind the tree and soon came to a giant gate. The gate was made of solid chakra steel like bars with a giant circular seal on the center of the gate with the kanji tag for seal on it. Naruto wondered where this door even came from. Red chakra formed eyes and a mouth, spooking Naruto a bit. Who are you? Naruto asked frighteningly. My jailer has finally come to greet me after 6 long years. The voice chuckled. Jailer? Wait, you're sealed inside of me too? Correct, I'm Kyubi no Kitsune, the most powerful of the tailed beasts, Kyubi smirked. Wait, you mean the Kyubi? The mighty 9-tailed fox that can cause massive tsunamis with the sweat of its tails and can level mountains? Naruto shouted excitedly. Kyubi's sweat dropped at the brat's excitement, and the praise that went with it. Was this brat actually praising him for his power and strength? Usually humans despise the tail beasts. But this brat was just looking at him with stars in his eyes. You're something else. Normally people would cower in fear of me or try to use me as a weapon. That's terrible to treat a sentient being in such a manner, Naruto shouted, shocking Kyuubi and Kagaya. But how are you inside of me? We were told that you were sealed into the 4th Hokage's kid. Well, first I was forced to attack the village after I was ripped out of Kushina Uzumaki, my previous. I was placed under by that bastard Uchiha. I couldn't control myself and almost brought the village to its destruction, until the Yondaime interfered. Minato Namikaze used the Reaper Death Seal to split me in half. My chakra into his eldest Menma and his youngest son, you. What did you say? Naruto gasped. Minato and Kushina are your birth parents. But they abandoned you to train your brother Menma to control my chakra. Naruto backed away as he clutched his head at what he was told. No, it couldn't be true. His mommy and daddy were Hashirama and Mito. He cried as he looked at the fox. You're lying. My parents are Hashirama and Mito, not the 4th and his wife. He cried. Kit! I was sealed inside of you. I heard the entire thing when I was inside of you. Kyuubi roared. It can't be true. Naruto sobbed till he felt Kagaya's arms around him pulling him into a hug. It can't be true. It's true, little one. That bastard and bitch abandoned you as if you meant nothing to them. But thankfully Shinigami took pity on you and gave you a new family. What do you mean? Naruto wanted answers. Kyuubi spent the next hour explaining the whole situation from the sealing to his abandonment at the hands of his old parents. Taking all that the Kyuubi told him, Naruto felt hatred for his old parents. But now he didn't care anymore. He had new parents. Thanks to the death god, he carried Mito and Hashirama's blood. They were his real parents, the Yondaime, and his wife could go fuck themselves. He thanked the fox for telling him the truth. Thank you for telling me the truth. Naruto thanked the fox. You deserve the truth, Kit, Kyuubi said with sympathy. And you deserve more, Naruto said. He asked Kagaya to take him up to the seal tag. Kagaya floated up to the seal tag as Naruto tore the paper off. Kyuubi gasped, wondering what the was up to. Naruto asked Kagaya how he could undo the seal since he hasn't begun Fuinjutsu training. Kagaya explained as best she found for him to understand. The boy reached out and gripped his belly and turned the seal as the mechanical seal was beginning to unwind. The gates then swung open as the fox took his first step out. Why would you free me? I attacked your village, I killed many of your fellow ninjas, and I'm one of the reasons your parents abandoned you. Kyuubi wanted to know why Naruto would free him. Naruto smiled up at him. It's simple, Kyuubi-san, you were forced to attack devoid of your own free will. My so-called birth parents made their choice. I got Hashirama 2-san and Mito Ka-chan. I don't need the Namikazes in my life. I never met a human like you, Naruto. I have a feeling we will be good friends. There is nothing I would like more than that. And don't worry, I'll find a way to get your chakra back. That's my ninja way, believe it, Naruto promised, giving his classic foxy grin. Well, you better get back, I sense a human's presence coming towards you, Kagaya said. Will I ever see you two again? Naruto asked. Anytime you wish to see us, just focus your chakra and come into your mindscape. We'll be here when you come back. Kagaya smiled before kissing his forehead, making Naruto blush. The boy smiled with a goofy grin before fading away. Kagaya, unknown to Naruto, left him a little gift. Real world, Senju training grounds. Naruto soon found himself staring into the face of Shizen and Mito smiling down at him. Laughing at the reading, he greeted his mom and Aunt Shizen. Well, hello there, sleepyhead, Mito smiled. Enjoy your nap? Mom, I got so much to tell you. I unlocked my chakra and I met the most amazing people in the world. Looking confused, Naruto told them about how he met Kagaya and the Kyuubi. Mito was shocked that Kyuubi told Naruto about his former parents but was happy that he considered her and Hashirama his real parents. She was also shocked when Naruto told her about Kagaya Ootsutsuki, the mother of all chakra. With his newfound power, Naruto could be the second coming of Kagaya herself. Ka-chan, were you really Kyuubi's first? Yes, Naruto, I was. Mom, can I let him out? I don't want Kyuubi to be sealed anymore. He's a living sentient being like we are. Oh, Naruto, I wish we could, but if a tailed beast is removed from their container, the container dies. Mito answered him grimly. Then I'll find a safer way someday. I promised Kyuubi I would help him regain his powers and let him free. Why would you promise him that? Shizen asked. Because he's my friend, Naruto smiled. Shizen and Mito were shocked beyond belief. Did Naruto just say he and Kyuubi were friends? Wow, this boy brings new surprises into their lives each and every day. Well, now that you're here, can we go to the compound now? I want to see Sasuke. Ha ha ha, okay, let's go. Mito smiled as Shizen put Naruto on her back. Naruto loved piggyback rides from his parents, especially from Shizen. Shizen and Mito left the Senju compound with Naruto and headed towards the Uchiha compound. Uchiha compound. Sasuke was panting on the docks as he was once again trying to impress his father with the grand fireball jutsu. But like always, the fireball only came out in the form of a small ball of fire. Fugaku sighed in agitation at his youngest son's failure once again in the Uchiha's prized fire technique. Satsuki, Sasuke's twin sister, managed to do it at the age of 5 and Itachi did it at the age of 6. But his youngest son failed the time and time again. Once again you failed, Sasuke, and wasted my time. Fugaku sighed. If you keep failing like this, you'll never be like your twin sister and older brother. Sasuke froze at the mention of his prodigy twin sister and older brother. Every single day of his life since he unlocked his chakra, he was always being compared to his siblings as if his skills weren't good enough. Seeing that Sasuke wasn't going to respond, Fugaku turned to leave to see how Satsuki was doing. When you learn to master the grand fireball jutsu, come find me, Fugaku said coldly. Besides, I got to check up on Satsuki. She's going to show me her skills with the fire-style phoenix flower. You could learn a lot from her. He finished before leaving. Sasuke grit his teeth and clenched his fists as blood seeped from his fingernails, digging into the skin. He had it with being compared to his arrogant twin sister. He screamed as he punched the ground, making the ground shake. Itachi felt the shake when walking by the house and turned to look at Sasuke. The young Uchiha went through hand signs and gathered his chakra. He gathered his emotions, his rage, his hatred, and unleashed the grand fireball, only they were the wrong hand signs and he actually unleashed the fire-style great devastation move while setting the entire lake ablaze. Itachi was shocked that his brother managed to gather so much chakra to perform Madara's signature move of all things. Rushing over, Itachi caught Sasuke before he collapsed. Oh Sasuke, foolish little brother, Itachi sighed as he took his brother into the house to tend to him. Unknown to either Uchiha, a figure was watching from the shadows and he was impressed with young Sasuke's ability to use his move. The man in the shadows was none other than the legendary Madara Uchiha. The Uchiha compound being overpacked was an understatement. If anyone didn't know better, they would assume the entire village had come for the party. Plus, members from every main clan had made it to the gathering. Included in those were Hashirama Senju and his wife and son. It was the birthday of Sasuke and Satsuki Uchiha, except the party was mostly focused on Satsuki, the prodigy twin. Fugaku, still being the arrogant Torang who believed power over hard work, was beaming with pride at his daughter, his favorite. He quickly noticed that many important figures arrived at the party. Hell, even the fire daimyo even came. This party will show the most important people in the country what my pride and joy Satsuki can offer them. This will bring the name to far greater heights than this small cesspool of a village, Fugaku thought boastfully. The guests all arrived as Mikoto greeted them. Mito Senju greeted her with a warm smile, and Naruto gave her a lily from his little garden at home. The Uchiha matriarch accepted the flower with gratitude and gave Naruto a small kiss on the cheek. Thank you, Naruto, Mikoto said. You're welcome, Auntie. Is Sasuke here? Oh, why, yes, he's in the training ground on the east side of our house. But he's been a little down in the dumps today? What? Why would Sasuke miss his own party? Naruto asked. It's strange that a child wouldn't attend his own birthday party, Hashirama stated, getting confused. Well, Fugaku made the party focus more on his daughter than both of them. You know how he is, Mikoto said in irritation. Sasuke kinda outgrown birthday parties and he asks that we stop celebrating it if all Fugaku cares about is Satsuki. Speaking of Fugaku, where is he? Mito asked sweetly. I need to talk to him for a little bit. Knowing what Mito had planned, she pointed to her husband that was speaking with the daimyo. Thanking Mikoto with a nod, she walked off to talk to Fugaku about a certain incident a few days ago. Fugaku was chatting arrogantly, spouting off about the might of the clan and the skills of his two eldest children. He went into full detail about Itachi mostly, but then went into detail of his daughter's prodigal skills. I can assure you, Daimyo-sama, Satsuki and Itachi are the best of their generation. Fugaku spoke pridefully. I see, well, I know of Itachi and his skills, especially with his shinobi record. The daimyo chuckled. But Satsuki, well, I'll have to wait and see. Fugaku! Mito shouted, getting everyone's attention. What is Mito-chan? Fugaku asked. His only response was a punch across the face, shocking and horrifying everyone. Fugaku fumbled back before he was grabbed by the hair, and his face was slammed repeatedly into the hardwood table. His face was becoming bruised and swelled up from the impact. She then kicked him into the wall before her hands wrapped around his neck. If you ever lay a hand on my son again, I'll make sure when I'm done with you, the only way anyone will find your remains will be with a microscope. She seethed. Fugaku gagged and struggled to breathe as he tried to pry her hands off. Itachi soon came to his father's rescue, telling Mito that it wasn't worth it. His humiliation in front of everyone was punishable enough. Mito glared at the patriarch but released her grip, dropping him to the floor as he tried to gasp for air. You're lucky I appreciate and respect Itachi. Mito snarled before walking away. Itachi sighed. You'll be the death of this clan, father. If your influence spreads to the rest of the clan, then I fear for its future. Uchiha Compound Training Ground. The sound of a kunai flying through the air could be heard as the kunai pierced into the trunk of a tree, missing the target paper attached to it. Sasuke groaned in frustration that he missed again, but still he wouldn't give up. Grabbing a few more shuriken and kunai, he took a deep red breath before tossing and flinging them towards the target. He managed to get 8 out of 10 this time, which brought a smile to his face. Happy birthday, Sasuke, Naruto called out happily. Unlike most guests, he chose to go and talk to the forgotten Uchiha first. Right behind him followed Kiba. Happy birthday, Sasuke. I see you practicing your kunai and shuriken throwing. Keep it up and you'll be as good as Itachi, Kiba said, giving Sasuke a thumbs up. Thanks guys, and it's good to see you, especially Senju, Sasuke smiled. Naruto chuckled, giving his goofy grin that everyone seems to like. Your mom told us you were out here training instead of partying. I mean, it is your birthday. Sasuke sighed. Why bother going to a party when all people care about is my prodigy older twin sister? Besides, parties aren't really my thing. What? Kiba asked, confused. But you always like parties, dude. Yeah, I know, but like I said, it's always about my sister or Itachi. It's never about me. Sasuke replied by picking up his kunai and shuriken. Look, I appreciate what you guys are doing. Tell mom that I'll be okay, I just need time to myself. Well, if you think that's best, Sasuke will respect your wishes, said Kiba. Naruto nodded his head in agreement. Kiba is right, we'll let you get back to practicing. After they left, Sasuke headed into the middle of the training ground and plopped down under a tree with a prime view of the clouds above him. A shadow was watching from the roof of the compound. Masking his chakra so no one could detect him, he jumped off the roof and landed in front of Sasuke. Sasuke, noticing the figure, jumped up and got into the interceptor taijutsu style. Calm yourself, young. I am not here to fight you or to harm you. The man spoke calmly, showing no hostility in his voice. Who are you then? And how did you get here? Sasuke asked, demanding answers. I am merely a ghost of the Uchiha clan, he said sternly but strongly. I am an old relic of the clan from the time of the clan wars. I was known as the most powerful Uchiha and Sharingan master since Hashirama's time. Sasuke lowered his defense slightly as he looked at the man before him. There was only one Uchiha that was strong enough to rival Hashirama and was given the title of Sharingan master. But this man couldn't possibly be him. Madara Uchiha died when he fought Hashirama in the Valley of End. Are you claiming to be Madara Uchiha? Sasuke scoffed. Everyone knows Madara died by Hashirama's hand. You actually believed what those Senju worshippers wrote in the history books. Fool, Hashirama spared my life and sentenced me to exile for at least 25 years. He concocted a fable telling everyone that he killed me in the Valley of End, which apparently the villagers believed. You honestly expect me to believe you? Sasuke yelled. If you really are Madara Uchiha, then you would be old and wrinkly by now. Madara laughed in a cold-like way. You got a smart mouth and bravery, I'll give you that. You remind me of when I was your age. You think you scare me? How Mito Senju is scarier than you could ever be? Sasuke taunted. Mito? How would you know that? Madara asked. She and Hashirama-sama were brought back to life by the Shinigami. Hashirama is alive? Madara gasped. Yes, and they are attending my twin's birthday party right now. Your twin? Wouldn't that make it your birthday? Yeah, but the only ones who care are Itachi-san, Ka-chan, and my two best friends Naruto Senju and Kiba Inuzuka. Naruto? There are still Senjus left around? Yes, Sasuke said before shaking his head. Wait, what am I telling you for? You're an intruder, and you must be dealt with. Perhaps you would like proof to prove that I am who I say I am. Any Uchiha can masquerade as Madara. Sasuke scoffed again. Perhaps this will convince you, Madara said, activating his eternal Manjikyu Sharingan. Staring into 3 legendary eyes of the legendary shinobi was more than enough proof, since Madara himself was the only one in history to awaken the eternal Manjikyu Sharingan aside from Indra, their ancestor. Dropping his weapon, the young Uchiha got to his knees and showed Madara the utmost respect. Apologize, Madara-sama, for my disrespect, Sasuke pleaded. You don't need to kneel, a child. Although I appreciate the respect, the only people I allow to bow before me are my enemies who cower at my feet. Oh, of course, Madara-sama. Sasuke shivered at the man's coldness. Now then, Sasuke, right? I have heard quite a deal about you from Mai, and I have grown ashamed at what kind of man your father had become. It sickens me that he prides himself on power alone and the strength that comes with hard work and relying on your comrades. Father just... Sasuke stuttered, trying to get the words to come out. He is a coward, Madara shouted. The clan has truly fallen if this is what the future generation will be like. We Uchiha are similar to the Uzumaki clan. We put family first above all else. Apparently, from what you told me, most of the clan and your father don't value you as they do your sister. Madara sensed a chakra signature coming towards them. Enjoy the party. I have a plan that will set you free from what your father has planned for you. The elder Uchiha stood vanished in a shunshin as Satsuki came rushing out. Sasuke turned to see his sister coming towards him. He didn't have time to deal with her superiority complex. Sasuke Baka, everyone is here. It's time to open our presents. Behind her stood her 2 friends and 2 civilians waiting impatiently. Satsuki had an annoyed look on her face, no doubt mad at her Aniki for taking up so much time. Uchiha Compound West area. Sasuke sighed and walked with them. When they arrived at the west side of the house where the party was in full swing, Sasuke stood with Naruto and Kiba. He saw his family walk out, and he rushed over, struggling to catch up to them in the waves of people. He forced his way to the front. He heard a few calls of happy birthdays to his sister, and many compliments. He, however, got none. It definitely bothered him, but he'd gotten pretty used to it. He noted that his father, mother, sister, and big brother stood in front next to the table. On it were many large boxes. No doubt for the Satsuki. He hadn't gotten any presents from the clan minus his mother, brother, Naruto, Kiba, and Lord and Lady Senju. But often his father got him at least one gift, even though it was a last-minute gift. Everyone quiet down, Fugaku said to calm the crowd. We're all gathered here today to celebrate the 5th birthday of my twins. For the first presents, I'd like to give Satsuki these, he said while pushing the presents forward. As Satsuki opened them, a big smile appeared on her face. Aw, so cool! Satsuki yelled out. She first pulled out a new set of equipment, which were mostly kunai and other stuff. She reached out and pulled out a brand new sealing kit. No doubt one that cost a fortune. Her father spared no expense on his daughter. While sealing is an expensive art, your mother and I saved up and decided to buy these for you, Mikoto remarked. With a little help from Mito-chan. Satsuki spent a while marveling at the gifts before everyone dispersed, leaving Sasuke alone again. It seemed they really only wanted to gather the crowd's attention for the big surprise presents. Before he could move to find more people, he felt a large hand grab his head and ruffle his hair. You didn't think I forgot about you? He turned around to see his mom grinning down at him. Here you go, sweetie. He tossed a large parcel to Sasuke. Getting excited, he opened the parcel to reveal a long katana shine to a mere sheen. The handle was carved into a dragon head shape with emeralds for the eyes. The sword belonged to Izuna Uchiha, Madara's brother. Originally Fugaku was going to give it to his son Itachi, but his eldest turned it down. Then he wanted Satsuki to have it, but Mikoto, being the descendant of Izuna, had full authority over the possession of the sword and declared it would go to Sasuke. Thank you, Ka-san. Sasuke thanked her. I'll take good care of Izuna Jiji's sword. He was then greeted by a few people along the way. He saw the Senju family and Naruto. Hashirama gave him a scroll containing Madara's basic fire-based levels E to a rank. He took the scroll and thanked the Hokage many times. Hashirama chuckled, telling him it was no problem. Next was Naruto, who gave Sasuke a raven pendant with the kanji for hope on it. This pendant will remind you that no matter what, there is always hope, Naruto smiled. Thank you, Naruto, Sasuke replied. Fugaku sensed his youngest looking at him before the boy looked away from him. He could see that his youngest was good friends with the Senju clan and the Hokage himself. This could work to his advantage, especially since Naruto is the heir to the Senju and Uzumaki clan. He could probably have an alliance with Hashirama, perhaps even a marriage contract. Hey Tu-san, Sasuke called out hesitantly. I was wondering when we could talk about my training. Fugaku sighed at this. Might as well make it as fast as possible. His son asked him many times in the past, so it was best to let him know how important his sister's training was. Sasuke, I've decided to push back your training till your graduation. Your sister had just started working on the Meteor Fireball Jutsu, which is a powerful and dangerous technique. She's also close to controlling it. I'm sure you remember the incident a week ago. So to prevent it from happening again, she needs constant supervision, which the elders will be teaching her. And with me being busy with clan matters and village politics getting tense, and I can't even help your sister, let alone you. Fugaku felt all the reasons were justified. Besides, it wasn't like Sasuke would actually wait till graduation. He figured that if he gave his son a date a long way off, he could surprise him by starting it earlier than he promised. Fugaku didn't even have time to gauge Sasuke's reaction, which was one of devastation, before a voice rang out in the room and it filled with the familiar smell of killer intent. I'll train him if you or the clan can't find the damn time to train him. Stepping into the room was Madara Uchiha. Unbeknownst to Fugaku, Sasuke was praising Kami at the chance to train. If he couldn't with his father, then Madara himself was the next best thing. Madara? Hashirama said, making everyone gasp. The Uchiha clan was in shocked silence, especially Fugaku, who was sweating in the presence of the greatest Uchiha to ever live. Madara stood there in all his glory, dressed in his clan war's armor. His appearance looked as if he hadn't aged a day. His attitude and expression was still as cold as his heart. It's been a long time, Hashirama. So you're finally back from exile? Exile? Mito asked. I thought you killed him. No, that was a lie. Hashirama fed the village to spare me the embarrassment, said Madara. Hashirama spared my life and exiled me from the land of fire to live out my days for 25 years. Now here I am and I come home to see my clan at its lowest. Our clan has been in the best shape for years. Fugaku argued. In your eyes maybe, but your treatment of family proves otherwise. Madara shouted, shutting him up. The clan is a clan based off of our sister clan, the Uzumaki. We put family first, that means equality in everything. Not that I am happy to see you, Madara. But what brings you here? Hashirama asked again. I came across Sasuke and he told me about the state of the clan and how his childhood went. I'm very ashamed of my clan right now. So ashamed I can't believe I'm even related to the… Madara sneered, shaming the clan and its members. Now as for what I said before, I've come to take Sasuke on as my apprentice. Gasps were heard among the… Being a student or apprentice of Madara Uchiha was an honor in itself. Many from the clan tried many times in the past begging Madara to teach them, but none impressed him enough. But here the youngest heir of the clan had got the attention of him, which made many in the clan jealous, especially Satsuki, who was seething. Madara-sama, surely my daughter who is a prodigy would be a better choice. Fugaku asked him. Skill alone isn't enough in the field of shinobi. A true shinobi understands and accepts camaraderie. They hold on to what it means to be human. A shinobi puts his comrades, family, and village first. But a shinobi puts his family first above all else, no matter what. You raised your daughter to believe that power alone and having the Sharingan makes them superior. That logic there makes me sick. Madara gritted his teeth. But Sasuke can barely even perform the fireball. Fugaku stated harshly. I'm telling you he wouldn't be worth your time, Madara-sama. I'll be the judge of that, Madara hissed. I chose Sasuke because he reminds me of myself. Plus he has a close friendship with Hashirama's kid. He doesn't despise the Senju clan like the clan does now. Sasuke has potential and I look forward to bringing that to the end of the story. Now go back to doing what you do best, pampering your spoiled daughter. Fugaku, not saying anything else, backed off and headed back to socialize with the higher class of people. Sasuke thanked Madara for standing up for him. Madara told him that it was no problem at all. You don't need to thank me, Sasuke, Madara said. Your father and the clan needed a wake-up call. Madara, said Hashirama. Madara noticed Hashirama walking towards him. He noticed that the Senju was getting pretty tense at his reveal. They reached out his hand to him, offering him a handshake. He reached out and took the Hokage's hand only to receive a punch to his stomach. Madara grunted before Hashirama hugged him close. You team bastard. You don't know how much I missed you. Hashirama cried. Madara's sweat dropped and groaned, cut off the waterworks, you Senju crybaby, and why did you punch me? That was for not returning back when I was first alive and not coming to me when you entered the village today," Hashirama shouted. Madara sighed and face-palmed. "I knew you would react like this. Which is why I didn't reveal myself to you before. The second reason I didn't come back in the past was because you were dead and Tobirama was the second Hokage. Plus, with the history between him and me, I doubt he would have wanted to see me." "Well, all that matters is you're here now, and we have much to catch up on," Hashirama smiled. "Indeed we do, and I look forward to your tea meetings like we used to." Madara smirked. "So how's Hokage life treating you, now that you've been brought back to life?" "Well, I hope you like long stories because this one you're going to love." "Oh, I can hardly wait to hear it." After the party was over and everyone dispersed, Sasuke took his gifts to his bedroom and was looking forward to training with Madara Uchiha. Across from his room was Satsuki, who was seething in jealousy and hate that Madara chose her lame, stupid, and talentless brother over her. She swore she would prove to Madara that she would be a worthy student of his caliber. Meanwhile, at the Hokage's office, Madara, Hashirama, and Mito all met for tea, and Hashirama started his explanation of what happened and why he and his wife were brought back to life. After his explanation, Madara's facial expression showed a look of rage and anger. Madara crushed his teacup, not minding the bleeding and glass that cut into his hand. "When will they be back in the village?" Madara enraged. "You'll see them soon enough. The Kage Summit is coming up next week. I would like you to join me and Mito at the summit. I'll be glad to tag along, but I promise I won't leave Minato and Kushina unscathed, especially your granddaughter." "I wouldn't expect you to," Hashirama sighed. Thank you so much for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed this scenario. If you want the next part of this video, turn on that bell notification. Like, subscribe, and comment down below. And also check out the others' videos I have created and enjoyed it. See you guys next video. Until that, take care.